And we are live. Submit to the High Council here on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is Mecha Random 42.
Hello.
We're also joined by Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Hello.
All the way from the World Class Bullshitters podcast, The Last Standing Simone, Big Rig, Nick Utam.
First time caller, long time listener. Glad to be here.
Welcome, sir.
I object, sure.
And then finally, folks, we have a very special guest. His name is Andrew Hawkins. He is the co-producer on such excellent documentaries of In Search of Darkness, In Search of Darkness 2, In Search of Tomorrow, and he's a part of one of Nick and my personal favorite, You're So Cool, Brewster, which is the story of Fright Night. So, folks, this is the High Council. We always have a million and one things to talk about, but this week is the my favorite week of the year, Halloween week. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of things. There's a little bit of Star Wars news here and there, but it's going to be a fun, packed show because we're going to make up for, technically there was a show last week, but I was not a part of it. So Mecha, Tom, thank you guys for, taking over for the High Council. It was my birthday week, so I spent it with family, but now I'm back. We're back, and I'm pretty pumped. You guys ready?
Big thanks got to go out to, of course, Stephen Walton for sitting in for you, basically, and Rob, and then we had Gary as a guest, so it was awesome. So, yeah.
Well, I'll have to go back and check that one out, because
It's still up. It is still up.
What did you say?
It is still up. So I had to delete one from like months and months ago because they age restricted it for some reason. And I'm like, fine, I'll just delete it. Or no, they did. I don't remember what they did because YouTube's crazy. But yeah, it's still up and it's there and it's awesome.
I had a one of those stupid age restriction things pop up on a video from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, okay. I guess I'll just deal with that. Anyway, though, tonight we have a lot to cover. So, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. This is awesome. Very honored and happy to be hanging out with the High Council tonight.
Well, we're honored to have you. You have excused the racetrack outside of my apartment. Finally came up.
He has American graffiti going on outside. So.
American graffiti. I thought it was Vin Diesel. What happened?
It is Vin Diesel. I just can't talk about it. Well,
Okay.
Days of Thunder action.
It's a lot of pent-up aggression since Universal Studios hasn't opened in, 7 months now?
Oh, jeez.
It's been a minute.
You sound like you're sitting on the street next to the...
I pretty much am. That's where I am in life right now.
That's picking up a lot of stuff.
I know, right? Tom, the homeless crisis hits us all in California, so...
Well, that's right. Homelessness doesn't care about the color of your skin, what's between your legs, or what channel on YouTube you have. So
I mean, I guess it's good you have really good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and you can hear the bus hydraulics.
it's library Wi-Fi, evidently.
We're not too far from library. Anyway, though, we do have a show to cover. So,
I apologize, Andrew. This is already going on.
I love it. Smoothest start all week. The best. So good.
So,
Andrew,
I'm in the middle of a
just
racetrack
quick
too. It's all
introduction.
good. Yeah.
Tell the listeners who you are real quick.
I'm Andrew Hawkins. I'm a producer on In Search of Darkness and In Search of Darkness 2. We have a new film that's currently available to get that'll be out here in a couple of weeks. And I am basically an 80s horror guy. And I'm also a film fan, a filmmaker, and someone who dabbles in sci-fi and gaming and a ton of stuff. So yeah, I just I do a bit.
See, now you're in probably the coolest position of a fan because you're a fan of these films, and now you get to create content about these films and work directly with the people who made the film. So
he's going to find out why I keep bothering him if you keep.
Yeah, right. It's because he's got a direct line to, I don't know, Jeanette Goldstein. So there you go.
Well,
He's got the coolest job in the world. That's why.
Yeah, that's part of it. But yeah, it really did start from being a fan and just, growing up with movies and growing up playing Game Boy and always, hanging out in front of the TV. And it was just a thing that I stuck with to the point where I wanted to do something with all of this interest I had and all this knowledge that I'd start, piling up. And I just went into writing. And then after a decade of writing online entertainment journalism and doing the convention circuits and all this, coverage and interviews and things like that, I really decided to make that push into being a part of documentary filmmaking. And doing that has been some of the most rewarding work of my life. I mean, that's just it.
So I know this is a big question to start out with, but who are some of the most notable people that you've had the chance to interview or work with on In Search of Darkness 1, 2, or anything coming up in the future? Like, who are some of the most impactful people?
Yeah. Oh man, we've had so many great people come on to be part of like the In Search of Darkness family and In Search of Tomorrow as well. Just right off the top of my head, I grew up a hardcore RoboCop kid, and we've got some huge announcements to make next spring when we go further with In Search of Tomorrow. But I can say right now, I love the fact that we got Kurtwood Smith on board, and he's one of the coolest ever.
Local boy.
Oh yeah. Where are you out of?
He actually he was born a half hour from my hometown in Wisconsin.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Literally a half hour away from each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people who know him. Yeah.
One of the coolest guys in the world to talk to. For In Search of Darkness Part 2, we've been doing cast announcements all month while we've been in our sales campaign. And just today, we announced that, of course, Joe Dante is coming back for In Search of Darkness Part 2. Mick Garris is coming back for In Search of Darkness Part 2. Yesterday, we announced that Clancy Brown sat down to talk about some of his favorite horror movies. Oh, he is one of those guys who I grew up with loving Highlander. I loved, Gremlins right there. Of course, Joe Dante.
Well, also Pet Sematary too.
Pet Sematary too. I was going to say Gus. And before I started making films, I was doing interviews and going around and working with press and everything. And I had this great conversation about 4 or 5 years ago with Clancy Brown, where he really broke down what kind of made Gus tick. So after I had that talk with him, I really went back and watched the first part of the movie and just kind of thought about, all right, what are these guys' motives? What exactly is going on in his head, all this stuff. And to be able to do something like that is, huge. Just to watch a movie, grow up with it, and then decades later have someone say, oh, this was going on in my head while I was doing this that you grew up watching.
Well, now, did it blow your mind when you realized that he's the voice of Mr. Crab?
Yeah, right.
Kurgan is Mr. Krabs.
You gotta love it. Yeah, I mean, we've had so many amazing people. I could go on and on and on about the incredible interviews we've had, the incredible discussions we've had.
Well, thanks to you, I got to meet vicariously over the internet Brad Dourif, which was
yes, you did.
Freaking amazing
for Dune. Yeah. We had that great watch party where he came on, talked about Dune, gave us all his insights on what went into crafting the character of Piter DeVries, and the Chucky doll, the badass one. Limited edition awesome version. But the thing is, like, that kind of opportunity to be able to talk to these people and these influential members of film fandom, whatever you want to go into it for the spectrum, and then bring that to people is something that's insanely rewarding for me, because this is the kind of stuff I wish I had been able to watch when I was a kid growing up and trying to learn more about directors and actors and filmmakers and effects and music and all that stuff. But yeah.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say we could probably show the trailer real quick, so those who may not know what the documentary is all about or what they're getting, if you want.
Totally. I was just going to name drop also Jaretta from Demons and Shinya Tsukamoto from Tetsuo the Iron Man. Those were two people I directly connected with personally and had a fantastic time getting them on board for In Search of Darkness 2, especially since we're going to international and Italian cinema with this sequel to the first one.
Okay, so you're gonna explore a little bit of giallo and that genre.
Oh yeah, a whole lot.
My God,
there's a lot of that in Search of Darkness Part 2. Yeah.
I've been dropping clips all week, and we're gonna be coming. So yeah,
we can show the trailer if you'd like, and
go for it.
Talk about it.
They're back. In Search of Darkness Part 2. I'm in this one. The 80s was the splatter decade. That was my decade. There was something really dark and sexy and strange
crazy stuff.
It's like a roller coaster ride.
People love this stuff.
There really was a shift of a whole new generation of monster makers.
That was so clever and creative.
We were rock stars in the 80s.
Tom Savini came to us and said, I want to cut somebody's head off.
I was called the Sultan of Splatter, the Wizard of Gore.
I think it's one of the finest ways of murdering someone.
How could you let me watch that?
It was something that your parents hated.
That was one of the attractions of it.
It is just a shredder.
The essence of sex and violence.
It never ceases to amaze me.
I just couldn't get enough.
I remember having to stop it because it was getting so rattled. That's an image that I'll never forget.
Gives me chills thinking about it.
I love those Italian movies. They're just crazy.
The Italians just went there immediately.
Video nasties were a good thing for me.
A fake snuff film face. Really?
Not very PC, is it?
Liquidate the Nazarene.
And I just remember thinking,
hello,
this is fucking weird.
It was all about trying to understand the world around us, and the world around us was extremely hostile.
It's full of things that want to bite you and kill you and eat you. And that's just the humans. Revenge of the Nerds on steroids. You control a murderer.
it's more fun to be the bad guy.
Freddy bored into his subconscious and was maybe opening the closet door.
And when people go, hey, what's it like to be in the gayest horror movie ever made? I go, it was fucking awesome.
I'd been bullied. I'd been an outcast.
I think that's really one of the first times that you saw what goth was all about.
All right, talking turkey.
It's not just a one-note genre.
It's funny as hell.
I started growing hair.
It just all meshes together so perfectly.
Like horror of the absurd.
That's a funny moment, but it's scary as hell.
That is kind of what resonates with Dan.
Hey, kids. Welcome to prime time.
Making the film was so interesting technically.
When he started to turn into a zombie, he had me on the floor.
Just remember, I gave him life.
You are all my children now.
Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
I love it.
Finally, somebody showed some love to Halloween 3.
Nerdgasm.
the great Halloween 3 resurgence.
Hell
Dude,
yeah.
I don't know why I know why it gets dumped on, but I don't. Nick, you know that Halloween group I constantly talk about on Facebook?
Yes.
They're now having to put out like posts telling people how to conduct themselves. And it's not like, don't say this or that. It's like, can you please stop asking about this scene, or can you please stop making a million posts about Rob Zombie being this or that? It's the horror community never ceases to amaze me. So
dude, hey, that's how you and me met, and we were in there, so
that's true.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you brought up conventions and stuff.
Yeah.
Before you were involved with the In Search of stuff, do you have any good convention stories? Because we talk about working the horror convention scene, and there's a handful of listeners that come out and meet us, and they get it. But unless you go to one of these things, I don't think you can accurately just describe it, but you get it. You've been there. But let's do our best to try to tell the audience what that culture is like, and if you wouldn't mind, share a story or two about it.
Oh yeah. Well, as a fan, I love going to horror conventions. Some of my favorites by far, like Monsterpalooza, Son of Monsterpalooza, Texas Frightmare. For work, I had been sent to WonderCon. I'd been sent to San Diego Comic-Con, and I had just, run the press gamut for those and done that with fandom.com. And while that stuff is, fulfilling and everything, I gotta say, just Joe 47 doing the Tom Atkins. Stop it! Love it. The best stuff is going to a convention as someone who just gets to be there and be totally immersed in what I love. And that's the coolest thing in the world, is to go and stand in line for 15 minutes, just hanging out, talking to people before going up and meeting Linda Blair while she's trying to take a break to eat a sandwich. And just, for a minute, we're having a conversation about something like Witchery that she did with David Hasselhoff that they totally got suckered into by Rafaela De Laurentiis. I mean, stuff like that, getting to meet people like Barbara Crampton, getting to meet Dee Wallace, getting to meet, Bill Moseley, Richard Patrick. So many people are just unbelievably cool when you finally, get in front of them and say, hi, I am a big fan. I want to grab this, 8x10 picture off your table and have you sign it to me or someone in my family or whatever. I brought something for you to sign, or I brought something to give as a gift. Like one of the coolest guys in the world, Kane Hodder. He is just awesome to go up and talk to. He doesn't choke people anymore, but he'll totally, face off against you like some Jason Takes Manhattan if you want to get a picture of that. But it's incredibly cool to grow up being a fan of these movies and these people, and then be able to have that connection. And, going and doing that is something that I really value and I love. And I can't wait until we get an opportunity to get back to that.
Right.
There are limited restrictions right now. Some conventions are still going. Vegas is still doing some stuff. There's still some stuff in Arizona and across the country and other places. But being able to freely just hang out, run the vendor tables, go and, see panels and screenings and go out drinking after. I mean, it's just incredible fun. And anybody who wants to go to any one of these, I say, do your best and get to it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've never been lucky enough to get to a horror convention yet, but there's a little known fact about me most people don't know. I did get high and hang out with Clint Howard for 4 hours in Las Vegas. Some people are not aware of this.
I think we've mentioned this every stream for the past year, though.
That's the joke, Becca.
Which sounds like an amazing time.
It was fucking amazing.
Did he give you any dirt on his brother? Like any weird stuff?
Oh yeah, we knew about the Willow thing a year ago. We were telling everybody, and we told some story. We've already told some of the stories, but yeah, he told us a bunch of stuff about Star Wars, and he was talking about stuff all the way back to General Ben.
Oh my god!
Shit, he's like, they didn't care. They just had us on. The only time they had anybody worried was if they had one of the cats. Then they'd had guys with guns. Otherwise, they just let that bear drag me around everywhere. It's like,
man, I've been a fan of that guy forever, ever since Star Trek and Night Gallery and seeing him show up. And if you're an Evil Speak fan, there's some of that in Search of Darkness Part 2 for you. So if you're all about Esteban and Clint Howard summoning the devil through the use of a Commodore 64, it's great stuff. And Ice Cream Man. Oh man.
Oh god, yes, Ice Cream Man. Oh my god, Ice Cream Man.
One of the best ever.
Takes me back to the Blockbuster days.
Oh dude. Yeah.
Oh, and that's what I love about this documentary, and that's what gets me back on what my point I was going to make here, because I know in the trailer it brings up the part about the community, Andrew, and that's one thing that I've been lucky enough to been able to participate in. That's where I got to meet got to meet Brad Dourif was
we love having you on. It's always great. These watch parties that we're doing, the fact that, we're able to get people like Laurie Cardell from Day of the Dead, like Jeffrey Combs, like Kelly Maroney, like, so many others.
We had one of the Kyoto brothers for Critters, I remember. Yeah,
Critters, that was so great. God. Yeah, having Ed on to talk about his legs showing up behind the Critters ball and Critters 2.
I wanted to ask him some stuff about Ninja Turtles, but we never got around to it. But yeah.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. Like some of those stories are just the best. Like one of my favorites that I always enjoy talking about is we had Bill Lustig on talking about Maniac Cop. And, I've been a fan of Robert Z'Dar ever since Tango and Cash. I mean, it's just,
love that movie.
So great. But he was all about basically debunking every single bit of trivia on IMDb and saying, no, this is what really happened. And that's something that, you're not going to get anywhere else. The community that we have is filled with so many awesome horror fans. And what we do with these watch parties is actually bring the people from the film to the community so we can all ask questions, chat, watch the movie together, and get some real dirt and stories about what actually happened during the making of these movies.
Yeah, and you almost gave me some bragging rights because Jeff and I, one of the things we bond over is Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I almost got to meet Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah, Harold Faltermeyer is just the best guy. And when we had him ready to come on for The Running Man, he wound up having some critical power outage at his house in Germany. And we looked at, every opportunity. And if we ever get a chance again, yeah, he's one of those composers that's a huge influence on 80s culture. A Grammy Award winner, an Oscar nom. And then everybody knows the Axel F theme.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I know it very well.
Yeah,
I've never heard that song.
I brought up how, right. And I brought up how, he had such an influence on video games. But that's the great part about this is this isn't just a movie. You actually get to be a part of this.
Yeah, and during the week while we're all hanging out, we're just talking about our collections and our favorite films and sharing what we're watching and news that's coming up about either re-releases or, retrospectives on old stuff or even remakes and things. It's an ongoing conversation that everyone's always really cool about. And it's funny you guys talk about the Halloween fan base and some of the forums because out there, it's pretty wild. There are some sites and some comment threads and things like that get pretty rough sometimes. And what we have is a really, really cool community of people that just are all in. It's always fun.
Oh, I remember Killer Clowns. Yeah. Speaking of the Kyotos,
Deadly Spawn.
It's the Critters community. There's a little Critters Facebook page, and they just went in an uproar when the last two came out because the Kyotos weren't involved and all this stuff. It was. They're pretty. I should say we are a pretty fickle group sometimes. Yeah.
Hey, I've had my criticisms about the way certain, franchises and series and characters have gone and stuff like that, and that's part of it. That's all part of the discussion.
Yeah, and that's actually... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, horror is the only genre that can repeatedly shit the bed and then get another remake. How many times has Michael Myers been killed?
5.
Or how many times has
how has he been rebooted? 5 times he's been rebooted.
Well, and not just that. I think horror fans are gluttons for punishment, or we're just really forgiving because we're just we want more of it, and we'll almost take it in any form we can get it, and we're just just give us a remake, give us a reboot, give us a part 18 or 23 or whatever, and we'll just take it. We'll bitch about it later, but we'll take it right now.
I think it's kind of a loving gamble too. It's all right, I got that one good movie. Part 4 is awesome. Part 6 is badass. We're on part 13, but I know we're gonna get another good one. I can see it. Guaranteed, it's coming. I know it.
Dude, the percentage game on good to bad, if you pull up, I don't know, a Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street probably has one of the more generous percentages of quality, good to bad films.
Yeah. Sure.
So when you...
And I love Nightmare. Yeah, even Dream Child has its good moments.
Well, Dream Child, is probably more lauded by the fans, yeah.
Or we could talk about, Freddy's Dead, but do we want to go down that path?
Freddy's Dead 5 and 2 are the ones that get a lot of shit. And actually, I think Freddy's Dead unrightfully so. That was...
That was so weird, though.
It was an experiment, and it's kind of like Jason Goes to Hell. I feel like, it's a bad fucking movie, but at least they tried something different. You know, it was like, because the next time they tried something different, he went to space. So.
Well, there's some weird casting in Freddy's Dead, I think, that was kind of odd, and there was some. It was
Roseanne in that?
Tone.
Yeah.
Huh?
Isn't Roseanne and Tom Arnold?
Yeah.
Well, it's because everybody in Hollywood wanted a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to get involved because Robert had become such a huge part of the zeitgeist and cultural landscape. And yeah, it's interesting to hear him talk about all that stuff. He's got some cool stories to tell.
But yeah, most people consider like Nightmare 1, 3, and 4 the trilogy.
Yeah,
they disregard the rest. But
yeah, that's kind of my go-to is 1, 3, and 4 because they all fit and they all kind of because when you take 2, it was like such a cool. It was almost an experiment as well. I mean, they didn't quite know that they had a franchise. They didn't know they were going to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, they weren't aware of where it was going to go with like this lore and this canon. So they went off in this other direction, and I really, really commend it now in retrospect, even though it's not that good of a movie just to watch as an entertainment piece of movie. Like, it's not as good as a movie as like 3 or 4 or 1. Sure. It's still really, really interesting and an important sort of side note that I think for a while it got kind of panned as the gay one, and then it got kind of praised as the gay one, and then it got has its own sort of following. It's kind of like almost a spin-off movie.
Well, and that movie is brought up in this documentary, right, Andrew?
It is, and it's really discussed in depth from Robert Englund and Robert Russler, who have come on to really reflect on kind of what the Scream Queen documentary really touched on, but really from their perspective. And it's interesting to hear, Robert Englund's take on it and talk about how he wanted to have these really specific moments of character interaction to kind of play with different ideas. And yeah, some of it was intimacy and sexuality and coming of age and coming out and stuff like that. And then underneath all of it, it's still a really dark nightmare movie. And it's got a great soundtrack. It's directed by Jack Shoulder, who also did The Hidden. It's got some of the best moments of the series and some of the most memorable moments. I mean, I remember watching it on, USA marathons as a kid. And even the bus intro and outro stuff is awesome.
Like, I was about to say, the ending to that one might be my personal favorite.
Oh yeah,
when the arm bursts through the friend's chest and the
bus drives off some great fucking moments. The moment where it falls apart is in that third act, if anything. And really, yeah, I mean, looking back on it, and I got an interview with Jack Shoulder coming up, and I talked to Robert Shea about it. And neither one of them had any clue what the fuck they were up to. Even Bob, at the point where they had him going to a frickin' kink store to buy that leather outfit for the leather bar scene. It still didn't really dawn on him, I guess. And I asked him, like, how could you really, it just didn't, he's like, no. And it's like, now you could say, it's like, obviously, back then he might want to just deny it, but it's like, now why would he deny it? So it's like, yeah, it's just like, you guys really didn't see it. And I said the same thing to Jack, and he's like, no, man, just no. But like the writer and the actors all were in on it. They all knew,
That's crazy because I mean, it's like, I guess they're just like, deep into filmmaking. There's like, oh, we have procedures. We have.
Well, to Jack, it was just kind of like, I'm going to make, he didn't like the first movie.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Jack didn't care for the first movie. He thought it was all right, but he just thought it was kind of boring, and he didn't think it meant
better
anything.
Than the one he made in every conceivable
I know, right? But
it's not even like close.
I know. It's just the way you can see why the movie turned out the way it did now, don't you? Like, it's kind of like this guy didn't like Nightmare on Elm Street, so it's pretty obvious that he went in this completely opposite direction. But then, like Robert and other people have brought up since then, that's when we realize, and this is an important thing that goes to, the High Council and what we stand for in our community is, there are rules. And from that moment on, they created and made sure they stuck to those rules for Freddy. Yes. And in every franchise, that's why you have a Bible to guide you through these things. It's like, well, what would this character do, or what would happen in this event? Well, let's see what the Bible says, and that's what they go to. And I don't mean like the actual literal Bible. I mean the character Bible or the franchise Bible. They actually have these
film Bible,
books.
Series Bible, all that. Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the rules. Something that Robert talks about, which we've actually put into a clip that we've put out for the campaign period, is the idea of what Jack was doing was really an interesting way to go, but it suffered one major problem. It broke one huge rule. They took Freddy out of the dream. Right. And all they needed was just one pickup shot of them falling asleep in the little, pool house, and it would have been just right. But bringing Freddy out was a huge violation of those Bible rules, just like you're basically saying. Well, right, so then you get to 3 and everything course corrects from there and starts to spiral into even more and more comedy as it goes on.
Yeah, I mean, the dog pissed fire and he was reborn.
You gotta love Kincaid's dog, Jason. Yeah.
When you were talking earlier about horror fans and stuff, for those out there that are listening thinking, I don't like horror, folks, it's the same shit that happened with Star Wars, except it's like this is the first time it's been this bad with Star Wars. This has been like a perpetual cycle for some horror fans.
Oh yeah, we've been through all this stuff.
So many things.
Like I know I always loop back to Halloween because that's my favorite one, but it's like, yeah, that first one's excellent. That second one's good. That's kind of it. Like I can't imagine.
And 3 is its own thing. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
3's fun. It's like most people just get hung up on it because there's no Michael Myers, but it's like, Tom Atkins is the man in that movie. That and Night of the Creeps.
And his mustache. I remember watching that. I remember going through that series when in high school because I wanted to watch the whole thing, and I got to 3 and I literally thought I got the wrong movie. I 100% thought I got the wrong movie. I had to go back to the video store and be like, "Is this right?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, it's right." And he went into the whole thing of like why it is the way it is. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense now." All right, gotcha.
Now, I got a serious question for you, Nick.
What's up?
Do you feel that Creepshow is a lesser film because Tom Atkins shaved his mustache for that film?
Well, here's the thing. I've seen. Whenever Tom Atkins shaves his mustache, he dies.
Oh,
The Fog and Creepshow.
Oh, there's a video in that maybe.
I'm just saying. Yeah, his mustache is his power. All right, just saying.
Sampling power,
saying, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Freddy Delgado, Stir of Echoes was a pretty good movie. I haven't seen that in forever, but yeah,
it's been a while.
It's fun since we're in the Halloween spirit right now, and a lot of people have been listing off some of their favorite horror films. So Andrew, even if they didn't interview anyone tangentially related to the film, what's your favorite horror film overall?
Oh man, that's always such a tough one. I love Creepshow. That's by far one of my favorites growing up, and it's always an awesome Halloween movie. I'm a fan of Kubrick's Shining, despite everything that Stephen King has tried to blast it about over the years. I love Night of the Demons. That's always been like a cult favorite and another awesome Halloween movie. It's tough because I've got the top 10. And I could go into like subgenres. I could go into international films. Like you want to talk about Fulci, I'll throw down On the Beyond, The Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead, the alternate title.
He came to play, yo.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
You can talk about Lamberto Bava. I can talk about Argento. I can talk about Michele Soavi. I can go into my favorite John Carpenter's, Ramiro's.
Can you name your top 10? Look the top 10 because top one.
I feel like I'm in a vampire movie or something right now, and I walked in and I said I need a gun, and the guy just goes, "What kind of gun you want?" And he just starts laying a bunch of them out on the table, and it's like
exactly. Yeah, it's that scene in The Terminator, specific. And I'm playing Dick Miller as if I could stand in those shoes.
Oh, that's it. Even better yet is the Terminator scene. Exactly. Yeah, it's like you need to be more specific, son. It's like
yeah, because I feel like top one is like, especially for a horror fan, like you can't do top one. You can probably do top 10, but top one is difficult.
For real. But yeah, Day of the Dead, that's a huge one for me.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Phantasm. I mean, the whole series, but the first one, I love getting to talk to Don Coscarelli whenever there's an opportunity. So this is another thing for anyone who wants to go to conventions. If you ever get to meet anyone from the Phantasm family, Reggie, Mike, Jody, anybody. I see Yojimbo in here saying The Thing. I mean, I cannot understate how much I love that film. The entire cast is amazing. The score, absolutely by far one of Carpenter's best. And yeah, it's it's a long list, but that's definitely one of the top for sure.
Oh yeah, the thing, especially with that like kind of heartbeat thing that he had with the music, where it was just like that, that tone that could make that heartbeat noise. I was like, it's very eerie and very like enclosing, because they're just in the middle. They're in the middle of the snow, and they really can't do anything, and they're trapped there.
I love that intro so much, and the way that music comes in, the Morricone and Carpenter collaboration thing. It's just sets the perfect mood, the starkness, of the way that it's shot and the setting and the deep snow in the Arctic, and it's it's got everything.
So what was it like meeting John Carpenter?
Really intimidating, but also like super cool and warm, because the way that I met him first was with his son, his godson, at one of their concerts before we got them into In Search of Darkness and In Search of Darkness Part 2. And I was talking to him and telling him that I loved his new solo albums, basically, the Lost Souls record that he had put out. And, since then he's done Lost Souls 2. And actually, it's funny, today he dropped Lost Souls 3, which I've already listened to a bit of. And it's just more awesome electronic, rhythmic, cool music from him. But I just, felt like I was meeting someone that I looked up to my whole life. I mean, even going back to being a little kid watching Big Trouble in Little China, he was always just one of those cool guys. So it was incredibly cool, incredibly humbling. He's just, awesome to chat with for a couple of minutes. And he's definitely one of those best guys out there for sure.
He seems like he'd be pretty laid back, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's just pretty much playing video games all the time and making music. And
what else
if he ever gets behind the camera again, yeah, right.
Don't have to do nothing. He's John Carpenter. He's given us more than enough.
Just endorse those checks.
Hold on. Do you know what video games he likes to play?
I think he's a shooter guy. Well, actually, this is a funny story that's partly related to a little bit of what we talk about in Search of Darkness Part 2, because we go into horror gaming and classic horror video games. But he's actually said that The Thing that came out for the PS2 was his official favorite to continue the story from the movie.
That is a good game, because I've played it. I remember I had it and I played it several times because it was so much fun.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I have a great time. That's like one of those midnight games for me that I'll play until 3 or 4 in the morning and just totally get immersed with all the lights off and, a few feet away from the screen. It's great.
Now I need to rebuy it. Damn. Okay. I'll get on eBay.
Well, much like this deal to get Into Darkness 2, there's a limited time we have with Andrew tonight. So is there any super chats right off the bat, Jeff, that may address anything that we want to ask Andrew?
Let's see. We haven't had a bunch roll in yet. Let's see. Actually, just one so far in regards to Andrew. It says, Mr. Wolverine 007. Thank you very much. He says, Night of the Comet.
Yeah.
Didn't we watch that together just for the hell of it once?
I think we did. Yeah, it's kind of a zombie movie, kind of like a apocalypse movie where the comet comes over Earth and kills people who are outside, and people I guess who are partially exposed to it become zombies or something. That's not really clear about what happens to them. But
very much an I Am Legend kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of an I Am Legend kind of thing.
The Valley Girl kind of thing, ain't it?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I don't know. I really like it. I think it's a fun movie. It's really underrated. I watched it a couple times in the last 2 or 3 weeks now, because I'm like, this is really good. This is really fun. But yeah, it's a fun movie. I love it.
Yeah, we had a great watch party of that with Kelly Maroney for our In Search of Tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Kelly was just amazing to chat with. I mean, she had great stories making the film. She taught us, all the stuff about how the whole bit where they're firing Uzis in the middle of Los Angeles and they keep jamming. It was because they'd gotten guns basically discount. So they didn't get what they wanted, and it was just a total clip issue and all this other stuff, but they just pushed through it for the shots. And, they were doing guerrilla work, going out on Thanksgiving and Christmas morning just to get, stark shots of the city empty while they're running around after this apocalyptic event where people have been killed off after the comet flies over. They had a blast, she did a great run of movies in the 80s from that and Shopping Mall and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and some people have called that like her mall trilogy. And yeah, she's just the best. But that movie, it's a fun one. It's a Christmas movie too, which is
yes it is. Yeah, yes it is. It's such a weird thing. Is like, and you even have the actress who plays her sister, Catherine Stewart.
Yeah, Catherine Mary Stewart from Last Starfighter.
Yeah, and like she's obsessed with video games, and like she plays almost very much like a dude character in this. And it was a lot of fun. I love that movie. It's so good.
Yeah. I think the game is Defender that she's playing, and then there's this whole plot of like someone who keeps beating her high scores and showing up on the top 10, and it's a DMK, and they eventually find the guy after they face off against these crazed comet zombies.
That's how you do representation, though. You have female characters that are no different, or they're interchangeable from men. They're not like, and I'm a girl because whammon power, whammon. You know, this is one of the things I really loved about horror, especially when I was really getting into it when I was like 8, 9, and 10, even younger. I mean, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 with my mother when I was 7 years old, and we even had like the same denim boots that the girl in the movie had.
Stretch.
Yeah,
Caroline Williams is just awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you already had these strong representation characters. Like, they were tougher than a lot of the guys in these movies, and they were just as cool and just as capable and smart and sassy. And they weren't like talking down to the guys either, because you had guys who were just as good as the girls in the movies. You know, it just depends on who gets killed first in a lot of these, and sadly it's always usually a girl at the end. That's why we have the final girl trope. But that was so empowering back then to, you know, stand up to the bad guy. Basically, that is girl power. That is feminism. You know, it's the bad guy who actually is a bad guy, not just the white guy or the guy. And that's one of the things I loved about horror.
Not only that, but a lot of times, like, the villains in horror movies represented more than just a guy.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a guy. It was like, it was, you know, holding you back, like literally keeping you from running up the stairs, you know, that sort of thing. And it wasn't
not just that,
you know, a male thing. It was life, you know. You a lot of these where you were fighting your fears. You were fighting life in general. You were fighting your own psyche and your own psyche, especially with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right, because Robert Englund has brought up, you know, Freddy represents growing up, getting a job, having to, you know, deal with real life. He represents the shit that's in your dresser drawer that you don't want everybody to see. He's all these things and everything to everyone, and not just a white male.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Jason. He's a victim of circumstance. You know, and he just happens to have the ability to avenge his mother's and his death.
Yeah, Jason got cut a bad deal. Yeah. And Freddy, you know, his representation of fears and insecurities and the whole what lies within thing and preying on that. I mean, there's a lot of layers to all that stuff. But one thing that you were talking about that's really pivotal in the discussion, especially for In Search of Darkness 1, is that sort of thing. Just mentioning, you know, directly Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, you've got that bit where Stretch is facing off against Leatherface, and he's putting the chainsaw right between her legs, and she's, you know, getting through it. She's surviving. She's screaming right back at him.
Yeah, and then at the same time, by using her femininity at the same time as well. She's one of my favorite horror female scream queens, or whatever you want to call it.
It's awesome to hear her talk about it, because she's like, no, that's a serious thing. And, you know, what we were doing, you look back on that and it's like, yeah, there's empowerment there. There's endurance. There's resilience. There's getting through and, you know, getting to the end. And that's really cool, especially when you look at like the Jason and Freddy movies too, because there's a lot of awesome women heroes in those films that, you know, they make it. And they, it's cool to look at that stuff and hear people talk about that too, like Caroline and Barbara Crampton and Heather Langenkamp and everyone else. Yeah.
Lisa Wilcox.
Yep.
Is another one, great character in Nightmare on Elm Street. And then, of course, like a lot of the ladies in Friday the 13th have been great.
Oh, yeah. Lar Park Lincoln had some awesome stuff to talk about from Friday 7. Yeah. She went toe-to-toe with, well,
even
the whole Carrie thing, but yeah. Her going up against Kane, being the first one to take him on. That's a cool thing to hear about.
And because we had all of those female characters and this empowering stuff, in the right way back in the 80s, we could look at something like Ghostbusters and never feel we were excluded from being a Ghostbuster just because it was all a bunch of dudes on screen. I never thought I couldn't be a Ghostbuster. And, because we saw this equality and this, reason to actually be angry and fight back and stand up for things in a lot of these films. You're fighting for the good of everything in a lot of these things.
And also Janine's got their back, and they go up against Gozer, and she's one of the most badass, intimidating villains. And it's of course, talking about Sigourney Weaver too. I mean, one of the greatest of all time to look up to. So yeah,
well, that's not even super horror, but it's just like it's just one of those examples that they always love to bring in with this stuff. Where see, now you have a Ghostbusters for you. Now you have a this for you. Well, we already did. We don't need it.
Well, I disagree to a point because I feel like Ghostbusters is actually shot like a horror film, and the comedy comes out of the reactions of the key players, and that's kind of how it works. And this is, it goes back to the whole Abbott and Costello meet. That's why that works, because you don't, Dracula's still scary, but it's just the fact that you put these funny characters in these funny moments and how they react to it. That's all. And the same thing can be said for many great horror films. Like you were just talking about Night of the Comet that I remember. It's been years since I got a chance to see it. That's why, unfortunately, I didn't get to join in on the watch party, but I do remember that having a lot of comedy in it.
Return of the Living Dead was hilarious.
Return of the Living Dead's a great fucking example.
Oh my god. Return of the Living Dead is amazing. I watched that.
More paramedics.
I got Jeff to watch that, and he wasn't sure about it. Then he watched and he loved it.
It's my favorite zombie movie.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean that's also. That's the first one where we heard a zombie say brains. Then it's been that from then on.
Oh man, yeah. And another person that's just wonderful to talk to is Linnea Quigley, and getting all of her stories. And it's funny too. We just talk about Ghostbusters, which her partner for a while was Steve Johnson, the effects creator, who did his very first job on camera was the skeleton ghost in the cab in Ghostbusters, and then he went on to do so many movies, just being one of the biggest effects creators in the industry of the 80s. Too. It really is. And that's his first job that actually got in a film, which is just insane. But yeah, Linnea is one of those icons. And she was even bigger than the movies. She was showing up on Rhonda Shear Up All Night. She was in magazines. She was this huge featured cultural iconic figure from horror, and one of the people who actually championed the Scream Queen moniker. So she completely owned it. And her talking about things like Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Demons and Silent Night, Deadly Night and Slime Bowl, Bowl-orama, Yeah, she's great. But as trash in Return of the Living Dead, that's like one of the great characters who gets turned into a zombie. It's so awesome when she walks through the smoke and comes back into the picture.
Well, that movie had so much style and class to it that a lot of horror movies wouldn't today. Like, it knew when to show what it needed to show, and it knew when to not show what it didn't need to show. And like, as far as lighting, like a lot of these modern horror movies are just dark, shot in the dark, filmed in the dark. You can't see anything anyway, and it's all jump scare,
or computers,
or any of that. And like you're saying, with the shot where she's coming out of the smoke there, and yeah, you get this real like, you get these little moments on a lot of these.
Or take something like The Exorcist, where even some people like kind of goof on some of the effects in that. It's like, you know what? I'll take the puppet of Reagan's head spinning around any day over some of the CGI head spinning stuff I've seen.
The great Dick Smith, he was one of the pioneers of the whole effects boom. I mean, without his influence, guys like Rick Baker, would have never won the first Oscar for movie effects from creating the werewolf transformation and American Werewolf in London.
You got guys like Tom Savini and stuff.
Yeah, Savini.
Who's in the documentary. I mean, and that's the thing. And Mecca brings up a great point, too, because that's the other thing, like, going off of the whole CGI thing is, that's one of the things I loved about these movies as a kid and a teenager growing up is it's like, how did they do that? And then you would, get the Fangoria magazines because we didn't have the internet yet, and stuff like that.
Classic Fango.
it definitely helps you from being afraid of a lot of that stuff too. Because if you're imagining monsters and stuff, and then you start going in, like Tom was saying with his experience, I think that's how I got afraid. Like Return of the Living Dead is one of my all-time favorite movies, but one of my first scares ever. And I have 2 movies that still creep me out. Return of the Living Dead still creeps me out when Tarman pops out under the stairs because of how he moves, that scared me for years. And I learned to just kind of pour into the behind the scenes to see, okay, see, this isn't real. This is not actually happening. This is, and that was one of the things that kind of helped me get less afraid of like the creepy stuff and be more appreciative of everything from behind the scenes to, okay, this is how it's written. This is the importance of why this is here. This is how you build suspense here in this moment, and just every aspect of every bit of it, including the characters on screen that we're there to be inspired by and relate to. And because of stuff like that, it helps me from, I think it helps a lot of people overcome a lot of the crap that they're afraid of.
Oh, they're very therapeutic to a lot of people.
Sure.
Megaram, did you ever watch a documentary about Return of the Living Dead?
I'm sure I have a few.
Okay,
of them
all right.
there.
Yeah. Well, no, there's one that goes through all the movies.
Yeah,
like I think all the way up to the I think what is it? Return of the Living
Dead and
Rave to the Grave or whatever it's called.
Rave to the Grave is funny though. I can take some of those. I can take some.
Yeah, or Necropolis, whatever the other one was. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Rave to the Grave is better than Necropolis, and I've got a DVD that has like both of those on there, and I think something else is on there, probably a Reanimator sequel. And nice. Necropolis is very kind of generic-y, low budget, but one of the things that Rave to the Grave and Necropolis did was they kind of incorporated the same actors to be different characters, I think, as far as I can remember. It's been a while since I've seen
that's what the second one did. I don't remember about.
They were actually I think they were actually filmed back to back in Romania over 6 weeks. It was it's crazy.
I think they did that because that's the same thing they did in part 2.
Yeah. In part 2, yeah. I'm like, they did this in part 1 and 2, and I liked that.
Now, Andrew, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We're talking about all these great, iconic, classic films cross genres. Do you think in 40 years we're going to be making documentaries about modern day stuff, or do you think we're going to still be making documentaries about stuff from the 80s and 90s? Because we talk often about cultural identity and how each decade has that. And we've reached this point. It could be social media, it could be the internet, it could be anything really, but everything's just, there's this sameness that comes with it. Even horror films, for as much as I love some of the lower budgeted stuff from Blumhouse and the fact that James Wan has been, his name's been attached to some of these great modern horror films, I still don't see, so many great iconic films coming out anymore. It's even the big ones are kind of forgettable after a while. So do you think we'll, somebody in 40 years will be doing your job with modern day stuff? Or do you think we're reaching a point where there's not enough to look forward to, so we just keep looking back on an era and we'll never get over it?
I think this stuff comes in cycles. I mean, I've studied film over the decades and really looked at things like what happened in the late 60s and early 70s with guys who were like pushing the envelope and making stuff independently, separate from studio work. And then, that led to a couple of fun decades of, really iconic films and things in different genres. And then, we kind of saw a real tapering on a lot of fun movies, in my opinion, in the 90s or so. And it sort of went into a little bit of a lull in, the early 2000s and really the last 20 years. Yeah. I want to say that really the films that I've loved the most, lately have come from some really creative, independent people who are working their ass off and trying to do stuff that really comes from their influences from 30 or 40 years ago.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that I hope has legs and, actually endures. But we're in a totally different landscape right now. I mean, there's no, video store hunting, or there's no real sense of immediacy or need to look for good stuff because everything's so oversaturated, if that makes sense. When you have access to everything in the world and you don't have to go to the library, then you might lose focus on everything and focus on nothing. And I don't want to sound nihilistic, but I think the people who are kind of keeping the torch burning are the ones that are going to have that kind of endurance and have that following in the long haul. There's always going to be a couple of good movies out there that people are going to latch onto and may actually have a legacy and, legs. And then there's going to be just a ton of junk that people maybe remember down the line. But I even look back to stuff like the pre-code era, and I'm like, God, there were some great movies made in the 30s and even the 20s. And some of those influential black and white films are still ones that I don't think are ever going to die, right. Whether that's because they keep getting, shelled out in distribution, or just because people pass that down to, their loved ones as they share what really means the most to them and what they enjoy the most.
Right. And if I can bounce off that a little bit without taking
please.
Too much damn time, I suppose. I see there's seminal moments in horror history, and I think the best evaluate and at least give my opinion on this is you look at, it started with things like Dracula, Frankenstein, and you had your universal horrors. And then in the 50s it turned into sci-fi horror. Then there was the revival of the Hammer horror films of the classic characters, right?
Yeah.
And then in the 70s, in the late 60s and early 70s, we went into the satanic panic kind of horror films with The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby and things of that sort. And then and then Psycho also kind of squeaked in there and changed things a little bit and influenced things down the line like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween, which began the slasher era, which was dying out until Freddy came along. So then Nightmare on Elm Street's like another seminal moment in horror history, and that opened the floodgates to this very imaginative landscape of horror films, I feel like. And then it kind of started tapering off again, and then you had all the the Freddy's Deads and the Jason Goes to Hells, and then Scream came along.
Yeah.
And Scream reinvigorated all these other franchises, and that's why we got, Bride of Chucky and H2O and all this kind of stuff. So there was a revival then again there, and then those all died when we had Blair Witch Project. And then since Blair Witch Project, we've got nothing but just rehashes of everything we've gotten before. And we haven't had any characters really stick. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't had any characters, like, outside of maybe Saw.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jigsaw, and that's
really stop and think of any Freddy's or Frankenstein's monsters. You just don't have them. It feels like anymore.
I mean, Tom, if we go back, like, it's funny when you're talking about early 2000 stuff. I keep thinking of House of Wax, that shitty remake with Paris Hilton.
Oh God, the William Castle remake era when they started doing stuff like The Haunting and Hill House and 13 Ghosts.
Well, that, and I think it was around 2005 they started doing the PG-13 remakes that were just like the names and like a few scenes of the few fanfare scenes of the movies that you remember.
I remember when that Texas Chainsaw came out right around the time of House of Wax. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was what I mean. They just kept reinvigorating the whole thing, because it even started again with Bram Stoker's Dracula in a way. It's kind of like it just all started again. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just looking up to see if the Amityville Horror remake was rated PG-13, because that was pretty bad.
With Ryan Reynolds, it may have been. I
think it was actually.
I saw that on a date in high school.
Well, and also I think what happened with that is that you had those come out in PG-13, and then they would come out on Blu-ray DVD, and they would be unrated. You'd have that happening as well, so they could like almost double dip or whatever with that. I don't know. It was a weird time.
Well, Nick, I have great
very
news.
cash grabby.
The film was released on VHS, Nick. So.
Cool.
If anyone needs one, it's probably one of the last videotape releases. Because
the last videotape, the major one, was that one with.
Oh wow! Here comes more stuff outside.
The guy from Lord of the Rings who played the main guy, the king. Jesus, now I'm losing names.
History of Violence?
History of Violence was the last major VHS title. Yes.
Okay.
Are you talking about Vigo? Star of Texas Chainsaw 3?
Yes, my brain just went like completely kaput there for a moment. Sorry about that.
A couple people in the chat have been asking us when we're going to talk about some of the shittier aspects of horror. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Oh God.
Yeah, sure. We want to go down that rabbit hole, yeah.
Well, Andrew, I don't think you can have an honest horror conversation without talking about the schlocky or the shittier elements. Like, look, I can get behind a schlocky film because you have a guy like a Roger Corman. Sometimes it's a low budget. You got to cut corners. You got to make stuff happen. I get that. I
love some New World Pictures,
dude. Love Roger Corman so much. He's so,
Charlie Band, all the Full Moon and Empire Pictures releases. Puppet Master.
God, yes.
Subspecies.
French. What's the French Puppet Master or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Curse of Puppet Master or whichever one it was, where they went back to Andre Toulon and Gren Guignol era France, and I think it was 6 or 7.
Retro Puppet Master.
Retro Puppet Master. That's
what it was. That's what it was. Yeah,
where all of them were made out of bad woodcut carvings, and yeah.
Now we shall begin.
And it's weird because there's two ways to watch those puppet movies, either chronologically or order of release. It's strange.
Sure. I go with order of release and stop at 5.
There you go.
I was gonna make some mega cut one day, but mixing in like some bits of retro into like part 3 and stuff like that. But I was like, nah, it's too much work.
That's a fun day right there. Just 18 hours straight of Puppet Master, and the morning's really good, but by the end of the night, you're definitely having a few drinks to get through.
Well, I was just gonna make like a kind of just like a large movie, kind of cutting with retro part 3 and part 1. I don't think I was gonna mix anything else in it. And I just like fuck that.
You know, that part 3 has some really good stuff, especially Richard Lynch. Like, he is one of those guys that is this low-key, iconic cult figure actor, and his story is unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have heard Ron Perlman's autobiography. Even him reading his own audiobook is awesome, but he talks about Richard Lynch being a huge influence on him, and the whole story of him basically just hanging out in the middle of Central Park, I think in 1971 or something, just riddled out of his mind on acid, lighting himself on fire, and that's
oh my god,
how he resulted in those amazing scars that defined his features for the rest of his career. There's that movie that's kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff, Bad Dreams. It's got Jennifer Rubin from Dream Warriors in it, who played Taryn. Bad Dreams is really good. If you guys find that one,
I have not been able to see it, but that is one that's been on my list for some time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a solid cult, supernatural sort of people getting knocked off one by one. Definitely recommended.
Did you in the trailer we watched? Did we get a clip of the movie Altered States at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh my god!
I saw it for the first time last night.
The actual first appearance of Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, she's the daughter in the hallway.
Yep. Yeah, she's the little kid there. Yeah.
That's right. Altered States is fantastic. There's a great moment in the documentary talking about some of the people who loved Altered States and Ken Russell. And I'll say as a good tease, Clancy Brown's definitely one of them who gets into that discussion.
Awesome.
Folks, if you have HBO Max, you can watch that one. That'll be my trippy recommendation of the week, because I had
one?
Altered States.
Oh, it's on HBO
William
Max.
Hurt. Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
I've seen that one actually.
I'm glad you watched that, Jeff, because I watched it like 3 or 4 years ago and I loved it. I was like, this is ridiculous and crazy, and I love it.
When he lays down and turns to dust, and then we watch him blow away for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And the music and all of the visual effects, and
I couldn't.
What Ken Russell did with that was. It's fantastic. A great film for the discussion on drug use and isolation tanks.
Definitely.
I don't want to detour too much, but now we were just talking about schlocky horror before, and it's been brought up in the chat, and it's of course another one of my favorites. We got to talk about Basket Case.
Yes.
Yeah. You really have to.
Absolutely.
You don't like Belial?
I've seen them all.
You're so great.
Belial.
So we had Kevin Van Hentenryck join us for a Basket Case watch party.
I've been kind of talking to him about it. Yeah.
Oh, he's so great to chat with. I mean, those movies are just fun. And that first one, I consider it to be one of those like seminal films of capturing late 70s New York and Times Square, and just how seedy everything was. And they even shot part of it in the same club that they shot Pacino's Cruisin' in. I mean, it's like a time capsule film, right there with like Driller Killer and Full Cheese, New York Ripper. And it's one that's interesting to watch, and it's just crazy. There's so much going on in Basket Case. It's a wild ride.
Oh, I love that movie. It's so bad. It's so good.
Well, Palm, since it's been brought up, would you care to tell the audience what the premise is real quick?
Basket Case is about a pair of twins. One is normal, the other one lives in a basket. And he's a murderous little bastard named Belial. And then he eventually has babies with another deformed individual.
I've seen the cover and I've seen bits and pieces of this movie. I need to watch this. I definitely need to watch it.
The three of them are fucking batshit.
You've never
crazy.
seen it?
I've heard about them. I know the premises of them. I've seen bits and pieces, but I need to actually sit down and just glue my eyes to the screen and watch them.
They are effing nuts. Of course, I don't know why I'm
down for that.
Even censoring myself now, but yeah, like there you go.
There he is.
There you go.
Well, this is the same filmmaker who made Frankenhooker, right?
Yes,
that's right.
Oh my God!
That tells you anything.
Frankenhooker and Brain Damage.
Oh God! I met Frankenhooker at a convention once. She was really nice.
Wasn't there like Patty Mullins or something like
Yep.
that?
Yep.
I love those old, like the B horror movies because they're so unique and expressive and different.
Yeah,
and you don't get it's like you have to go so far underground and with these lower budget, more obscure movies just to get something unique that you haven't seen a million times before.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that effort that they put into making this movie. I mean, there's a great story that Frank Henenlotter talks about. He's puppeteering Belial, this conjoined twin who's been cut off and carried around in a basket. In the movie, he winds up in a toilet, and he's sticking his arm up through the back of this toilet just so he can puppet the little dude. And there's all of this, background of, yeah, we just did it and got it done. And there were things that I hated, but F it. We just made it.
Tom, Heaven, yes, there is a part 2 and a part 3. Now, those are in the 90s, though. So
they weren't being like a little bitch like, what's his name who's Cyborg from Justice League, who's like, where? I'm not the lead in the movie, where? Right?
And speaking of film and movies,
lead actor, he ran naked at 3 a.m. through Queens on like December 20th just to be able to get a shot in the movie of a dream sequence. So there was no complaining. It was, we're doing this, and
his face was molded into Belial too, so they used his mold and all that. Like he was, totally involved in this shit. And he's in part 2 and 3 as well.
Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of other fluids went into making this movie.
You mentioned that, but I remember the thing that kept coming up in the part 1 documentary was cocaine. Like there was a lot of that to make these movies. And I think that's the element that's missing now from a lot of movies nowadays.
Well, I've said that I don't know how many times now. We need to bring back.
Okay, cocaine. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
And the movies will be better, man. Like back when it was all about everybody hopped up on cocaine and. What can we do that's crazier than the last guy?
Forget your bath salts and your MDMA. Just bring back cocaine.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to break from set and go run some lines, and then you're good to go.
Not those kind of lines, but you don't cup of this shit after a cup of coffee. That's for sure. To quote
there's
Mr.
so
Howie
much
Mandel,
invention, so much creativity, so much ingenuity. I mean, a lot of these guys were, just coming up with stuff on the fly. Mm-hmm. There was all this DIY mentality, and you would basically, like what Henenlotter was doing, they were going and dumpster diving and finding stuff for the sets. That's basically how they were able to, furnish and set dress every single scene in the film. Was they were just rolling around in a truck at 4 a.m. in New York, making sure that they could get whatever they could and finish the film. That's part of it, putting everything you can into it.
Absolutely. And Jonah Tex Hex says LSD a bit only for the writers.
Yeah, sure. Just a tab,
What was it? Stephen King's Death Star table, I think some people have referred to it as.
Jesus. I love when he talks about the 80s. It's like, I don't remember writing any of that shit. I was so fucked up on cocaine. You probably could have freebased my blood. Just like...
I think my favorite moment from it is seeing him in the Maximum Overdrive trailer just going, I'm going to scare the hell out of you.
With the Halloween 3 music in the background?
Yeah, it was too. Yes, yep. Absolutely, dude.
Yeah, because I've watched Maximum Overdrive. I'm just like,
class. I have too. It's not great, Nick.
That's not great. She just called me an asshole.
Yeah. It's.
There's a reason it's the only one he directs.
So. Are you kidding? It's amazing. It's so bad. It's another one like this one. Yeah, here, I get it.
I don't think it's so bad. It's good. I don't think.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You got Emilio Estevez blowing up shit.
You also have the Green Goblin on the front of a semi.
That's
and
awesome as hell.
Yeah, but like, if I'm going through every other Stephen King adaptation that I've seen, and I've seen a good chunk of them, I'm putting Maximum Overdrive maybe at the bottom.
I don't know. I might put it above Golden Years. Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a few other stinkers I'd put way below that.
I hate to say it. I'd rather watch The Langoliers than I'd rather watch Maximum.
Yeah,
dude.
I would too.
Man. Night Flyer. Some yeah. Great.
Langoliers is
Miguel
American
Ferrer.
classic, okay?
With Balky from Perfect Strangers.
Yep.
Love that.
Come
scene.
on, you got Commissioner Gordon swearing at a truck and trying to shoot it. It's awesome, man.
So
You just like the soundtrack. It's okay to like
the
movie
fucking
for the
soundtrack's
AC/DC.
a whole entity in of itself. Like that, you can't even. We're not even equating that into this.
I think you have to with Maximum Overdrive. I think you have to take the soundtrack kind of into account.
You know,
Why do
in
you
a
gotta
way,
be
it's like it's a crazy lightning in a bottle kind of movie, and there's so much going wrong and so much going right that it's just a marvel to watch.
You got killer pop cans and a kid getting run over by a steamroller.
Yes.
In the same scene. How can you not?
That killer soda can machine is my favorite scene in the whole in that whole movie. I love that scene so much.
Yeah, there was an old rumor that Stephen King had shot the kid getting run over by the steamroller, and the kid's head explodes, and it was so extreme that it made George Romero throw up, and everyone's always called bullshit, but it's still a great story.
Oh man!
So, what kind of behind the scenes stuff? Since part 1's out, and we don't want to spoil stuff for part 2. What are some of the memorable behind the scenes stuff you've learned that may have not made it into the documentaries?
Well, it's interesting to review these interviews and, have these conversations and get these insights, because sometimes, people just get into, real detail about what they were working on and what they were doing and, what they grew up with. And some of the conversations, aren't all going to be able to get compacted into a 4.5 hour long package, but it's just like a wealth of riches, if that makes sense. And just kind of like what we're talking about, these discussions, like from people like Barbara Crampton and Caroline Williams are, just going on about what it was like to work with people like Tobe Hooper, or how important it was for them to work with the great Stuart Gordon. And, these just emotional conversations where they're like, yeah, I really felt like this was my big break and my big outlet and things like that. It's cool to see, people kind of drop the veil a little bit and really talk about how important some of these key movies in their careers were for them. And that doesn't always make it in, but that's still like really amazing to connect over and to, reflect on. It's just something incredibly cool.
Now, here's a weird question for you.
Yeah.
So, it's long been rumored, you can find articles online about it, who actually directed Poltergeist, since you brought up Tobe Hooper. Now, officially, he's credited as it, but if you go back and listen to, but there are interviews, I believe it was Jo Beth Williams has been talking, or has been on record saying, Steven Spielberg did more. So who do you think directed it, from what you may or may not have heard in your the course of your interviews, Spielberg or Tobe Hooper?
Yeah, that's a discussion that I look at where it's important to factor in, the whole issue of how much of a film is done by one person for them to get the credit for it. And sometimes it's the 60% rule, and sometimes there's a little wiggle room. But the thing is, it's on the screen. There are moments that are completely Tobe. And I echo, Caroline in talking about this. She discusses this. And then there's even more talk that didn't make it into the cut, but his influence is all over that film, as well as Steven's. And Steven was definitely there as an influence, but all of it really was channeled through Tobe. So it's very much Tobe's movie, but it's also an Amblin film, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, when it really gets into it, you can compare it to something like, it was mentioned before, Life Force. and you can see what Toby was able to do with visual effects and with staging and with these big matte pieces and with these awesome, moments of practical effects going on, just blowing up the screen. So it's definitely Toby's movie 100%, but Steven was right there for a lot of it, if that's a good enough answer.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then I could see that a little bit, because I still run into people who get confused and think that Steven Spielberg directed Back to the Future and Gremlins, and it's like, oh no,
right?
He just produced them.
Yeah.
And it's like, but no, I've heard, and this is, I may have even been from watch. I don't know if this is in your documentary or not, but I know I've heard this before. Basically, the breakdown I heard is Steven dealt more with the actors, and Toby dealt more with the technical aspects of things, because I guess there was a bit of contention between the actors and Toby, from what I heard. And that's kind of where Steven came in, I guess. And that's just a story. I don't remember who said it.
Well, that's nothing, new. I mean, there are sets where the actors will have a lot of interaction with producers and other members of the crew, and the director will be focusing on something else. And you even look at, some setups, like there's this great conversation that Joe Bob has about working with Scorsese, where it's almost the entire opposite, where Scorsese didn't have a thing to do while everyone was setting up all the tracking shots for Casino. So he's just walking around, hanging out, just chatting with everybody until it's ready to shoot. And that's one of those things where, Spielberg's out there talking to Joe Beth and talking to Craig and everybody, and Toby's focusing on, all right, let's get this next shot set up.
For some reason, though, that movie just has that aura about it, and I don't know if it's one of those things that'll ever be answered. I wonder.
Yeah. There's a balance there, but it's always going to be a discussion. Yeah. No, Toby was one of the greats, and we all wish he was still around, because just the love that people give him for his movies and still do.
I was just talking about one of, I feel like, his overlooked films, and it's even a remake, but a very good one, and that's Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars is a favorite. Karen Black is awesome in that. Yeah.
I watched it so much as a kid, and those aliens freaked me out, man, when I was a kid. Oh my God, that's such a good movie.
Well, that's what he said. He wanted to make a horror movie for kids, and boy, did he sure make a horror movie for kids. I remember that movie scaring the hell out of me.
Oh yeah.
Well, those guys who are out in the sandpit who get sucked in, first thing, and then later on in the movie, you get Bud Cort, who's the scientific guy, going up talking to an alien. I can communicate with them, and all of a sudden he gets dematerialized. Love those moments.
Well, the part that always freaked me out was the mom eating the raw hamburger. There's a few, but yeah,
the teacher eating the frog,
and the teacher eating the frog.
Oh yeah,
all those. Just,
David
only
Gardner.
6, I think, when I saw it, 7 maybe at the most. But
he did a lot of. He did a lot of stuff that people kind of overlooked, like Funhouse. I love Funhouse so much.
Yes, Funhouse. Yeah, that's another featured one in part 2. And he had a great run going back to the early '80s too. If you see Eaten Alive, there's an early performance from Robert Englund in that one, and that's a really cool swamp slasher kind of unhinged Texas movie from around the time that he was coming off of Texas Chainsaw. One of the more interesting overlooked in his career. But yeah, Toby movies, they're always unique, and they're always worth checking out at least once. Even Spontaneous Combustion with Brad Dourif, where he's just exploding all over the place.
and of course,
but he also did Salem's Lot,
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and you can't talk about Toby without talking about Texas, and I feel like part 2 gets a lot of flack, and it's actually, to me, I actually enjoy watching it more than the first one. Because it's so much fun compared to the first one. The first
and those
one is
effects
just
from Savini.
Yeah,
man, even on the bridge in the beginning.
It's a great film, and I'll rewatch it. But it's one of those movies that's on the borderline of it's just so.
It's a little disturbing. The older you get.
Tougher
definitely.
To watch. Yeah. But that second one, you can tell that everybody's having so much damn fun.
Yeah,
Bill Moseley.
Yeah, I watched it the first time, I think, a couple of years ago, and I was like, what the hell is this? Because I had no idea it was a comedy. I had no idea, and it kind of made me mad. But now that I know what it is and what it was supposed to do, I watched it recently, and I'm like, okay, this is actually really good. So it's one of those things. It's very odd.
One of my favorites in that whole thing is the choosing the chainsaw bit with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, God, yes.
What was really, really cool about him being on that production was he was actually kind of everyone's go-to guy. Like even Caroline talks about, he was pretty much saying, you know, here's your lighting, here's your best angle, here's your, you know, delivery, and here's something to punctuate on when you're doing this, you know, line in front of the camera. And they really looked up to him. Like Dennis Hopper was somebody that everyone loved working with on that production. And then you just watch the movie and it's just mania. There's so much going on and it's so fun.
Well, I gotta imagine everybody's like, what the fuck is Dennis Hopper doing in this movie? Like,
I think he needed a break and he was having a lot of fun doing that movie is what it looks like.
Like owning the movie pretty much.
Yeah,
oh God, yes. He
100%.
just relished that movie. You can tell he was having fun. That's what's great about it.
His chainsaw fight with Leatherface. So good.
Oh man, it was ridiculous, but I love it.
I wish
Yeah,
I saw the
schlocky stuff like
Laserdisc.
that. Yeah, you gotta love it.
Yeah, did anyone else have the Laserdisc for part 2?
I do know.
I had it, and I wish I still had it. It was the weird thing about the Laserdisc was the cover is that everybody in the film was in the same position as the cast from The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
It's the Breakfast Club poster.
And I wish I still had it just for the cover because I sold my Laserdisc player years ago, but I had it.
Oh, you can get that poster probably, Mecca.
I know. It's just I love. That was so fun.
That's pretty
That's my
iconic,
humor
yes.
right there. That is my humor.
See, that's
In
a wonderful
fact-
thing to take around at conventions and get signed. If you have the Laserdisc and you've got the sleeve, yeah.
Pretty sure the Shout Factory Blu-ray has the reversible cover with that one on it, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. It's so
I'm pretty
great.
sure.
And the thing is, too, the story about how that was just a total marketing gimmick technique, and it wound up on a huge billboard in Hollywood, and Bill Moseley looked up and saw it and just laughed to himself.
Oh, Bill Moseley, you got him in here, and he's just
Chop top.
He's awesome, dude.
Oh, so with crap, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway,
Did we want to get to a few super chats anyway here? And then
yeah, we'll read a couple of them. Yeah. Let's see. Good transition. So Fandom Guard, thank you very much. He says, "Cry Havoc and let slip the Yautja of War."
Nice little Predator reference.
Okay, there you go. Wait, I'm glad you're here for that one because I was like completely lost.
Well, yeah, it was what was it? Oh God, because I'm always thinking about Christopher Lloyd in 3, but that's something that's brought up I think in 6. Is it Star Trek 6? From not Commander Krug, but regardless. Yeah, my sci-fi brain wants to kick in on that one just because of the love I have for the original Star Trek films.
Culture Casino, thank you very much. He sends in a unicorn super chat sticker. Fandom Guard again says, "Look them up. It's only 2020. You'll fit right in with everything that's going on. What do you guys think? Shill Pictures?" I don't know what that's trying to ask. What do you guys think? Shill Pictures?
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure when that was. What that one was referring to. Sorry.
That was before we went on air. So.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sorry, Fandom Guard. Adam Wofford, thank you very much. He says Vin Diesel has a Ford. Sorry, Vin Diesel and Harrison Ford are street racing to see which car is the fastest, the Ford Falcon or the Dodge Charger. They couldn't race in space. I can't believe they're taking that into space.
Yeah, I mean that's where things go to die. It seems like
Friday the 13th never recovered.
Leprechaun didn't either.
Well, they went back to the hood
Leprechaun
after he went to
4.
space.
Well, you can't go back to the hood once you go to space.
Wait.
I mean, let's be honest.
Space
He went to the hood
before
after
hood?
space, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got
He went to hood, then he went to space, then the hood. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Dude, I love Leprechaun in the Hood. It's like the best, worst horror movie ever.
Oh, it's definitely the
kinda
best
really
of the
great.
sequels.
Yeah.
For sure. It's the best of the sequels. Hands down.
Let's see. We also have Mr. Wolverine. We talked about Night of the Comet. Thank you very much. Legato Starwin says, "Jeff, a good hentai series that I would recommend to each on Halloween night is Euphoria. It's basically a hentai meets Saw movie."
Noted.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll try something new.
One to put on the watch list.
Yeah. Speaking of
Wow.
stuff to do on Halloween, folks, this Saturday night, about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, fluid time starting time. We're going to have our Halloween party here on the channel. What are we doing? We'll be drinking, we'll be hanging out, we'll have costumes and all this crap. But since a lot of people can't go out we figured we'll have something to do for people on Saturday. And if you have kids that can trick or treat, we wanted to make it at a time where you could go out, do stuff, and we'd still have a lot of energy left. So this Saturday night, Halloween, come hang out with us here on the channel. We're not doing like a commentary or anything. We're just going to play it by ear and see how crazy it can get.
Cool.
Maybe we'll see if we can get Dion to take shots for Terminator Dark Fate views. Let's see. We also have Albatross Flight that says sometimes practical effects are scarier than CGI. There's some alien puppet / movies I still don't like looking at.
I think if you can do it practical, it's better every time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It when you can do it in camera, it means so much more, and it just to me, it's more satisfying than like doing it on a computer, which you can really always tell that it's a computer, and it's not that impressive at all.
Well, and there's a tactileness to it too. Yeah. It's something that you're seeing in reality. They're not reacting to green ball or nothing entirely. It's actually physically there, which is always really cool. Because sometimes those elements, the fog, the lighting, that just works perfectly when it's actually present in front of the camera, and it's tough to replicate that. And like James Cameron's Aliens is a perfect example of that. There's no way that would have been able to been pulled off in CG.
Well, one of the things I have an issue with the Friday the 13th remake was how much CGI they used in that needlessly.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%, man.
So much and stuff. Yeah, even Freddy vs. Jason is a victim of that.
Yeah, there's some in there too. Yep.
I'm a little softer on that because they at least had the balls to do a crossover like versus movie. So I get the computer stuff sucks, but at least they did like Freddy vs. Jason.
At least in Freddy vs. Jason, some of the best kills were still practical.
Yes.
The bed kill, the head twist. I believe the head's falling off was practical.
Bed kill. Jeez, man.
I remember seeing that in the making. That was cool as shit.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yeah, so I think most of the main kills were all done practically. It was like just the Freddy pillar was, I know, CGI, and I think they had a CGI Jason for some reason in one scene too. In the pinball machine, that looked horrible.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Andrew, what are some of your favorite horror kills?
Oh man, I'm a fan of people getting messed up pretty badly, and it's awesome to look at like some of the first ones that I remember the most as a kid, kind of like paving the way for what I would wind up judging things on, kind of like all right, this is setting the bar for me, so let's see what matches up as the years go on. But even though people have kind of looked back on it and said, oh, well, yeah, the head's kind of fake and, it's a little rough, I still love that decapitation of David Warner in The Omen. That is one of my favorites.
Holy crap, dude. I remember, I watched my mom let me watch it as a kid. Thank you, Mom. And that's something I always remember is that like glass going real slow motion, the head spinning, the whole thing I remember as a kid. And I was like, dude, this was so good. It was so much fun.
The tension that builds up to it with the car going back and the glass sliding off and the way it was shot and the whole like triple, cut to it from different angles and the head spinning and the dummy flying back. I ate that up. And there are others that I totally have, but that one's an absolute classic.
I love Nightmare 3, the puppet kid. I'm trying to think. What was it? His name?
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. Man. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, when he's getting basically controlled through the hospital, and then the way that looks with the sinew coming out of the wrists and the feet.
Yeah. You could feel that shit. It's just it's still thinking about it.
Yep. Yeah. It looked damn good.
And I also love a good head explosion. Like,
oh, geez.
Some of the stuff that Tom Savini did. I mean, I've reevaluated Maniac over the years, and holy God, that movie has some extreme stuff. But even, Dawn of the Dead, and talking to Laurie Cardille about Day of the Dead, there are some amazing kills in that. I mean, Rhodes,
Oh man, like that is. I think that even kind of still messes with me, right? When I watch it these days, because he is getting ripped apart slowly while he's alive.
Yeah.
Choke on him,
visceral, and I mean, I think they made reference to it in Shaun of the Dead, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was
that's a great scene. And is that the one where you're talking about? The one where he actually got sick from the
Yeah, I am because the thing that happened with the production of that, and this was Tom Savini's crew, and the birth basically of KMB, you know,
Yes.
Berger and Nicotero, and the guts that were in storage for that shot, for that effect, were in a fridge that someone had pulled the plug on after they had cleaned up the shop for the night. So over the weekend, they started rotting, and they didn't have the money and they didn't have the time to go out and get any new guts anywhere, or, you know, swing by a farm and get some new pig intestines or whatever. They just went with it. So they have like plugs in Joe Pilato's nose while he's filled up with this stuff and halfway into the floor.
There's some great behind the scenes footage of this shit.
They're waving underneath his nose and they do it, and he's just like heaving by the time it's done, just boiling with that whole gut stink coming up under his face.
Yeah,
it
the
was
look
brutal.
on his face is real, he said.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, I'm sure that was like, you know, a PA they could have used for that, you know, just kind of taking him to the side, you know. Oh, he's missing. We don't know where he is. Just, you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, he was halfway buried into the floor because of the effect, and you know, wasn't able to get out of that. So
That's
it was
horrible,
basically
man.
everybody
That's
just like,
that's so bad.
Let's help you the best we can. But it was funny too. This was back when Greg Nicotero was still
throwing up, but yeah.
Yeah. That was you know, something that I took away from the conversations that I always remember and makes me laugh, is they used to call Greg Nicotero Gut Boy. So one of the most successful guys in the entire effects industry, and that was his origin.
This is the guy in charge of The Walking Dead now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Creepshow.
Yes,
the new Creepshow series. Yeah,
I think we're getting a Halloween special coming out from them soon.
Yep, the animated special's on the way.
Oh yeah.
Hey, speaking of exploding heads, what's the movie with Anne Ramsey where the girl throws the basketball at her head and it explodes?
Deadly Friend.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
The Wes Craven. Yeah, so good.
Now, Wes Craven, obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street, most people know that. But a couple of years ago, I caught The People Underneath the Stairs, or The People Beneath the Stairs. That was a weird movie.
Love it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's wild to see the cast in that, too. Like, you got Everett McGill from Twin Peaks and Silver Bullet. And oh, man. That plot's really, really interesting with all the dynamics going on in that movie.
Nick, what do you think of it?
Oh, it's one of the ones I used to watch as a kid a lot. My mom went to and let me watch it. Thanks, Mom. And I remember it very vividly. And it's crazy. I mean, even Ving Rhames, like, you know, being so young in that movie, is ridiculous. I watched it recently again, and I was like, this movie is nuts, and I love it. I didn't know until later on, until I was a teenager, that it was a Wes Craven movie, and I was like, oh, no wonder I like it. Okay.
Well, Ving Rhames is a great character in that. I mean, he's basically Fool's kind of mentor guy who only really lasts the first act. And the whole thing is, you know, they're just trying to raid this house that's essentially, you know, been hoarding money from the entire.
Yes.
Well, they're like brutal landlords. They've been, you know, keeping money from the community and doing all this nefarious stuff.
It's a great movie.
It's very reflective of like a 90s kind of, you look at that and then you look at something like Candyman and you see some really interesting themes going on.
Oh yeah, but those movies didn't exist. I forget.
Right. We're only getting that now. Yes.
First time ever we've ever had any black people in horror ever, except for the ones that die right away, because that's all they ever talk about, of course.
I guess Blackula never existed.
Yeah, they always always overlook the big ones, especially like, you know, Candyman and, you know, People Under the Stairs, and a lot of them we've discussed in the past too. It's just like, it's not the truth. Just like the same thing with women. Women have always been very powerful.
Yeah, and well, I think it's because horror gets unjustly crapped on all the time. It's like, oh, we need women in powerful roles. It's like, we've had horror for 40 years. Like, why don't you go to that? Why don't you go to that genre and see that it exists? It's a thing. For some reason, they can't look at that, and that's not viable. For some reason, I don't know why.
Yeah, and the constant reinvention of what the horror genre is always a contentious subject, because they want to have this sort of first mentality of, you know, I've done something that no one's ever done before, but at the same time, you know, all these themes and all these stories have been around forever. And yes, there are new ways to put new spins on it and tell new stories, but you're not always going to be the first one to touch on something all the time. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're trying to, be extremely progressive and have an agendized point and things like that. So
exactly,
when you look back at stuff, from the 80s or from the 70s or even going back to like the 20s, you have some really, really interesting examples of people who wanted to get very important points across that have since been overlooked, sadly.
Well, and social justice has always been a big part of, in a way, not that like the current form, but just the actual definition in itself has always, in social commentary, has always been a big part of horror.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Again, it always gets
and
overlooked.
Genre,
yeah. And now, like you said, all these people want to pretend that they're, Christopher Columbus, and they're discovering something that nobody's ever done before, and it's like, no, sorry, buddy, Leif Erikson was there first. It's like, you just got to face this fact that, that's why I think when I said that earlier, I don't think there's a lot of stuff out of the last era of horror that's going to really be brought up later down the road. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's going to be some young directors who are going to be influenced by some of the newer films. That's a definite possibility, but I just don't see it having the same staying power as films that we've brought up, especially films from the 30s and stuff like that. And back then, I mean, I can still pop in Dracula and Frankenstein and all that kind of stuff and enjoy it right next to watching Halloween and all these other films for Halloween time, but I can't picture, and I still don't watch a lot of the newer stuff. And when I do, I don't rewatch it. Like, I was not a big fan of the new Halloween film. I'm glad it made a lot of money. I'm glad it's going to probably revive, the horror franchise a little bit. Maybe we'll get Robert Englund back as Freddy for 1 or 2 more shots, and we'll probably get a Jason movie and stuff like that back in the old vein. But outside of that, I just don't see any new horror films really taking that place in horror history like the old stuff has.
Tom, it's because part of it isn't the character, it's the genre. So for years, it was, instead of the newest slasher with the newest character, it's the newest found footage movie. So the found footage gimmick was the character.
Yeah.
And that character's played out. So and
that's why I feel like the Blair Witch Project was kind of the end of horror for now. I mean, until something brings it back in some way that really makes it feel like it was back whenever, and it really truly captures that, I feel like it's kind of at a stalemate since then. That's just my opinion. But
what era do you want back? Do you want?
I'll take anything great back from the fucking all the way back to the 30s till now. I don't care. Somebody can redo something great, like not The Mummy with Tom Cruise, but
oh Jesus,
like
I meant something like there's that nostalgia, that post-Scream kick with The Faculty, and I know what you did last summer.
Dude, oh my god, I love The Faculty so much.
Urban Legend.
Urban Legend.
Urban Legend if they had done it correctly, instead of like kind of crapping on the second one immediately, it would have been like this thing that would have been awesome. I think even Final Destination, not really being
Final
horror,
Destination was probably one of the last original horror films.
Yeah. And I mean that that one was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed those. The last one was a little weird with the new rules they put in all of a sudden. I love those movies, and I personally I want to see slashers, like 80s crazy slashers, come back. I love those movies. I love things like that. I want stereotypical characters. I want a crazy killer. I want them to be in a cabin in the woods, in an old school, just somewhere, and have like some crazy stuff happen and have a good time with it. That's what I want.
And I think you're right, and I think that's why Halloween made so much money. I mean, and when I say so much money, I mean, you guys got to understand, Halloween 2018 made more money than the entire franchise had to that point put together.
Are you serious?
I am not joking, including the Rob Zombie movies.
What?
Yeah, that's insane.
Isn't it?
Oh my god. So people were really clamoring for it then.
That's what I'm saying. So I know it's coming. The only thing that stopped it is this, what we're dealing with now.
Correct.
Otherwise, we'd probably been hearing about, I'm sure they've been talking to Robert Englund. I'm sure they're trying to do something with Jason. He's all over the place right-wise, but...
Well, it's funny. There's the discussion in Search of Darkness and in Search of Darkness 2, and in 2, Kane talks a little bit about, how he wishes he had been able to have been a part of Freddy versus Jason. And then, the remake came out, and it is what it is. And they got him sort of back into character for the game, which the development of, Gun Media putting out the Friday the 13th game has been a whole long and interesting story. But his big quote, one of my favorite takeaways from the conversation, is, "I still got some killing left in me."
That's what I think people want, and I think we pointed that out in our documentary about it too. Was people want to see Robert? They don't just want to see Freddy versus Jason. They want to see Robert Englund's Freddy versus Kane Hodder's Jason.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want.
I mean, as a fan, that's what I would love to see.
We need Evil Dead versus Jason versus Freddy. That's what we need.
That won't happen, unfortunately. But
I agree it won't happen. I agree it won't happen. But that's what we need to save this. If that were to be hinted or announced or given some sort of like production still, game over, man. Like,
what if we could get RoboCop?
Oh, RoboCop versus Jason versus Freddy.
RoboCop versus Terminator.
Oh my God!
finally make this Sega game a reality.
MGM's probably willing to listen to us.
At this point, I'm sure, because they don't have a lot going on. So.
Oh, they screwed that up so bad. I mean, if you want to get nerdy here, I'll tell you right now. They had the opportunity of a lifetime with Neil Blomkamp to make RoboCop the sequel, sequel to the original film.
Mm-hmm.
No sequels happened after that. They were even at the point where they even had what's his face? Jesus, the game name escapes me again. Peter Weller. Peter Weller, even in talks to come back, and MGM wanted to rush Neil through it. And Neil's like, no, I've got this other obligation, and I want some more time to work on this. And they're like, nope, we got to get this done. So what did they do? They fired him and brought in another director who's going to take at least another year probably to get ready to film this. So they should have just let Neil do it. Now they screwed it all up because Lord knows what's going to happen now.
That's just like Sam Raimi with Spider-Man 3 and 4. They wanted
would have been great. I would have loved to have seen his going with Mysterio. That was going to be Bruce, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would have been fantastic. I would have eaten that up.
And the Vulture too.
Yeah, their opening night for sure.
Who was going to be the Vulture? I can't remember now.
Was that Malkovich?
Yeah.
I think it was Malkovich,
gosh.
Yeah. They were talking to Malkovich, and then what's his face who played Gandhi?
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, yeah. Kingsley, I think.
The Mandarin.
See, I would have loved him to just throw Ted Raimi in there wherever he wanted.
Oh God.
always great to see him on screen.
Oh, I love him. Awesome.
Well,
that's
he
another
had a
great
character
film from the
in there.
90s. From
he
the
was Jay Jonah's one of his assistants.
Hoffman.
Oh yeah, that's
Hoffman,
right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say another great milestone in horror going from the 80s to 90s. Wishmaster. That was just fantastic when that was realized. I mean, probably one of the last really big classic sort of hurrahs where they brought everybody to the table, had an amazing run of special effects from the KMB guys. And yeah, you just look back on that one and it's a ton of fun. Someone in the comments earlier I saw said, quick note to Tales from the Hood. And that's a personal favorite too. I love that anthology movie, and there's a ton of important themes through every story on that one.
Oh yeah,
but it still
not
hits.
the sequel so much, but yeah.
Yeah, they dropped
that first one. That first one with Clarence Thomas III. I mean,
oh my God, so good.
It is classic. Yeah.
I remember catching that. We would drive past Blockbuster on the way home, and I would see that poster, and I'd be like afraid of a poster. Like, oh, what is it? And then a couple years later, I saw that movie on TV, and I was like, how was I ever afraid of that poster? But you talked earlier about good social commentary and stuff.
Yeah.
That movie, even today, you could put that one on, and people wouldn't roll their eyes because we live in this world of very heavy-handed messages, and that's one of those films where it's like, I see what you're doing very clearly, but you wrap it up in a good presentation so I can get through it. On the other hand, though, you have the sequel where he kind of lost that ability. And I think that's a problem across all genres of entertainment. Even if you want to adapt comic books and stuff, it's that subtlety and that layer of depth that you have to add. Everything now is just so heavy-handed right in front of you that instead of getting people to think, you kind of force them to think a certain way, and you kind of lose that. And horror is the same way, because you brought up, the final girl trope and all this stuff. And now we live in a world where the final girl trope's just that, a trope. Everyone's okay with it. But now the Avengers do it, and it gets, praised and dissected because of, the world we live in. So everything keeps changing at this, the goalposts keep changing for the stuff. Are we ever going to get to a point where we have,
Oh, I cut out there.
Hello?
Yeah. Okay, Jeff. Sorry, he must have had an incident. Yeah, I'm not sure what point he was getting to there, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, talking about that a little bit, it's interesting to see what horror films have become when they become too self-aware. And that's something that very rarely lands, because sincerity and, you know, actual, I don't know, I guess, focus and total, like, zoning in on what you really want to do, and not just constantly being in a headspace of like, okay, well, what all social consciousness is this going to affect? I mean, it's really interesting to see how people approach movies now. And I think, you know, it's a totally different world from what it used to be, for sure.
Well, I think it's also funny when you get things like Get Out,
that
like to pretend that, like, oh, we're finally making horror films for black people. It's like, wait a minute. The horror community has always had if anything, one of the best relationships with because the black community has always loved horror.
Oh yeah,
and they've never really felt unrepresented and all that kind of, you know, they'll joke once in a while about, you know, the black guy getting killed, but you even have the point where in Scream 2 where the black guy's like, I am out of here, I quit, because brothers don't last long in situations like this. You know, like, you know, they get into the movies too, and that's one thing where I hate it when, you know, what is it, Cal Penn, is that the one who made that, or is it the other guy? I keep forgetting.
Made what?
Get Out.
Jordan. Oh
Peele.
no, Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yeah.
Cal Penn's Indian.
I can't. Yeah, that's the other guy.
Well, one thing I was going to mention was, and this is, you know, incredibly cool to hear John Carpenter talk about his film Prince of Darkness. The way that was cast, you look at that cast from today's lens, essentially, and it's incredibly diverse. You have a mix of people from all backgrounds, and it's something that he didn't focus on intentionally. It's something that he decided on because these were the right people for the characters. And that's the most important thing too, is because he wasn't trying to check any boxes. He was just saying, okay, I want to work with the guys that were in Big Trouble in Little China with me again. I want to work with these guys. I want to have these women cast for these roles. And you look at it and it's a really, really rich group filling out the characters in this movie as they all go through this amazing, dark, and surreal horror story.
Yeah, and I think John Carpenter doesn't get credit for being diverse, you know, in what he does. Because look at
George Romero too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely Romero
because definitely doesn't get enough.
Yeah,
credit.
because I mean, like, look at Assault on Precinct 13. Look at The Thing. They Live. Big Trouble in Little China. I mean,
man, Keith David and They Live. The best.
I think that movie everybody needs to watch that movie right now, because I think it's most important to see that right now in the way things are, because it seems like every decade that needs to be rewatched, or everybody needs to be forced to watch that movie, because I think it's the most political horror movie, but it's also one that everybody can kind of get on board with.
Mm-hmm. It's commentary done right, though.
Correct. Thank you.
And not only that, I mean, I got an argument the other day with, I'm not going to say which YouTuber, it's out there if you want to find it, about Ridley Scott. No. And I like him, but I think he's very, very, very overrated. And they're like, well, who do you think could have directed Alien better or just as good as Ridley Scott? I said, John fucking Carpenter. Shut his ass kind of.
Oh my God. Definitely. Oh man, give him Aliens. Ooh.
Well, if you'd seen Dark Star and, you know, and Halloween was a part of that.
It's just Halloween in space, folks, with an alien.
I would be more than down for that. Oh my God. Because to be honest, the last two movies that Ridley Scott did, I was not a fan of. I didn't care for them, to be honest.
Well, you look at his dramatic output too, and I've missed movies of his like Robin Hood and things like that. I look back on his films, especially in the 80s, like Blade Runner is one of my all-time favorites. And Alien is just amazing. And, you know, he had a fantastic run of movies there, and I would love to see him recapture that. I don't know where he's going to take things, but, you know, I look back at his golden years as being some of the best moments and my personal favorites of cinema. But yeah, it's interesting because when you think about someone like John Carpenter being behind the camera for a production like Alien, and, you know, being right there with Dan O'Bannon and having the influence of H.R. Giger and all of the things that, you know, if every resource was available to Carpenter that Ridley Scott had, it could have turned into an incredible production.
Yeah.
And I think some of the scares would have been, you know, I don't know. It's hard to compare, but it would definitely be memorable for sure.
I think that'd have been neat. In some alternate universe somewhere, they've gotten to see this movie. In the same universe where Sinbad made a movie as a genie.
Mr. Wolverine 007 says, before you guys go, I just wanted to give some love to the Troma films.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to leave yet, but I know Andrew's a little short on time, so I know as long as you can hang with us, great. But if you got to check out, just let us know. So
Yeah, I can hang for a few more minutes and then
awesome.
back to some more final week campaigning and working up to Halloween. That's the big time that we're doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
but Troma movies. Yeah.
You showed some love for the first Toxic Avenger in Heart of Darkness Part 1, and I was very happy about that because I was like, because you kept like showing the poster as you were going through it, and I was like, are you gonna do it? And you did it. You did it.
You better talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Lloyd
was so happy.
Kaufman. Yeah, I mean, he is one of those guys who is very much like your Corman or your Charlie Band. I mean, what he was doing with Troma and what his house became is incredibly cool. And those guys are all DIY. They've got this great punk mentality. I grew up loving Toxie and even Class of Nukem High. I mean, that's,
So good. So good.
a crazy favorite. But yeah, they've also released some of my favorite Italian films into the States that, you know, they were able to get the distribution rights for and put them on cheap tapes. But without them, you know, a lot of love for people like Lucio Fulci and Lamberto Bava and others, you know, might not be where they are right now. So got to give a lot of credit to Lloyd.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's fucked up. He's like, you know, that kid in high school probably sold dirty pictures of his sister, but he's still just, you know, he makes these fucked up movies that are just like, how could somebody just, and then you understand after like seeing an interview with the guy, he's crazy. He's somebody I'd love to meet.
He just likes getting a gang together and doing wild shit.
I think we met him at a horror hound in Indianapolis last year. He is a funny, wonderful person to talk to.
He seems like a hoot.
He is a hoot. He always has an entourage of people around him that are always dressed up and ready to get weird and stuff like that. He is especially if you talk about independent film with him, he is a wonderful resource for that. Oh man, he is great.
Yeah, and he loves just subverting the status quo. I mean, if people are on a soapbox about something, he will go right after it and attack it with a kind of raw humor and wryness that I think is always good to keep around, because sometimes, you know, you need your people out there telling jokes like Sam Kinison or, you know, Rodney Dangerfield or whoever wants to undercut things when things get a little bit too serious. But Lloyd, he's a character for sure. And his stuff has definitely been a great point of discussion in the horror community for decades because, you know, sleaziness and trashiness, it's got its place for sure.
I don't think I've ever seen him be serious.
No. And that's, you know, that's kind of what keeps him fun, you know? He's always got that energy and it's always infectious.
Like, you know, I mean, some people are like, the fuck, you know, I think that's what Dr. Coffin was talking about him. No, he would. He's the kind of guy who'd be like, you want to buy some pictures of my sister? They're dirty. No, fuck you. All right, I got some of your sister.
You know what? I fully expect him to. I'm with you, Tom. I fully expect him to do that whenever like I go by.
That's
his table
the
all
type
the
of thing he would do. Exactly.
He would.
Yeah.
No, he would, man. He would. And I mean, like I've been by his table and he's always tried. Like I always talk to him, and be like, you know, oh, thank you for being, you know, independent film, and you know, you're a big supporter of it. And he was always like, yeah, buy 8 of my movies right now. I'm like, okay, fine. Here's $200. Jesus, can you sign? I'll buy them. But you got to sign them, Lloyd, right now. He's like, all right, I'll do it.
Deal.
But no, like once again, like I'll buy at least one thing from his table all the time because I got to support the guy.
Sure,
you know, he's keeping independent film alive, and I mean, you can't hate him. He's awesome.
A geek. He's a nerd. He's like, you know, he's into this shit.
Oh,
and he's creating a place for people to grow too. I mean, there's a ton of people who've come from his productions that are doing great stuff these days. So, you know, without him, there are a lot of independent filmmakers who would have never gotten their start. And
those are the guys
that's
that
the
really
reason
make
why.
horror,
yeah, that's the reason why he shows up in Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, James Gunn, for God's sakes, and where that relationship is now, I have no idea. But back in the day, it was a real connection that, without Lloyd, some of those really, really big money makers would have never happened. But
Dr. Meatball says he's got a pair of panties.
I think
he's probably right. I don't doubt it. But if it wasn't for guys like him and Corman and and Richard Band, I mean, God, I mean, it was because of them we have like Joe Dante and
Tom Holland,
Cameron, and
without Roger Corman and Galaxy of Terror, we wouldn't have James Cameron and Aliens.
And you mean Tom Holland, the director, of course, not the Spider-Man, right?
Correct. Of course, the director. Of course.
I just wanted to be clear for our audience because they're like, "Why does he mean Spider-Man?"
Yeah, no. I should have prefaced. You're right.
Yeah,
Tom Holland, the director.
Great Tom Holland. Yeah,
Thomas Holland, also of Child's Play. Yes.
Child's Play,
Psycho 2,
and Fright Night,
Fright Night. Yep. I knew that's why you brought it up because you said you just watched. You're so cool, Brewster.
Yeah. I'll dip out here in just a minute, but I will say that Tom Holland and the entire Fright Night family are some of the best people in the whole world. And if anyone gets a chance to ever go to a Fright Night reunion, talk to Chris, talk to Amanda, talk to everybody, because they are fantastic. They're wonderful to chat with. And yeah, Tom, I mean, we had the best time just talking to him about his career and how he, went through the years of acting into writing, into directing, and being behind the camera for Child's Play, right there with Don Mancini's incredible script. Yeah, the Fright Night family is just fantastic. Some of the best people together whenever you get a chance to see them. They're always cool.
Oh, yeah. Fright Night was a personal favorite of mine growing up. And then, of course, you know how much I love Chucky, so,
I was lucky enough to get a poster signed by all of them that are currently alive, so except for Tom Holland, which waiting for that to happen.
I wish Roddy was still around because he was a champion of film preservation too. I mean, he was a guy who was basically bootlegging 35 millimeter prints.
What?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was one of the things that, during his years before he passed away, he would throw parties throughout the week. And, one day it was everyone from his productions. And then the next day on Saturdays, it was like all of his friends. But he had this huge cache of just print after print after print of film classics that he essentially became a hoarder of because he cared that much about keeping film and keeping it,
a great actor,
preserved. But yeah, you look back at some of his, amazing films, like even Legend of Hell House. That's one of my all-time favorites of his.
Great movie.
Yeah. But, always talking to the Fright Night family about Roddy makes everybody smile. They're always happy to remember how great he was.
Oh, yeah. I loved him in Planet of the Apes. That was my first time I saw him, and I loved him.
Absolutely.
And then I found Friday after that. But, I bootleg 35. I would have. Oh, man. That man needs a documentary about himself. Like, he needs his own documentary so bad. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. An unsung legendary guy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Spent half his life in freaking ape makeup, man.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for having me on.
Andrew,
I mean, this has just been awesome. Man. This has been so cool.
And we'll be talking to you again on Friday on Midnight's Edge in the morning. But yeah, it's been awesome having you here. I want to thank you so much for coming in. I've been dropping that link all night in the chat. So hopefully you guys take advantage of this because it is only till midnight on Halloween, correct?
That's it. Yep, midnight Halloween.
Say that again, Tom.
Midnight Halloween.
Well, it's been an awesome pleasure being on the High Council. Talking to you guys has been a really, really good time. I always enjoy digging into good horror, but some of the stuff that we've chatted about, this has just been a great talk. This has been really cool.
Thanks for joining us, man. It was
thanks for being here, man.
My pleasure having you on.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see y'all around, and yeah, this has been great.
Take care, man. Talk to you later.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, that first documentary is really long, and if you love that kind of stuff, you will highly appreciate it. I highly recommend buying part 2 and buying part 1 because you will not be disappointed one bit.
Oh, it's worth it. You guys have no idea. Like, he's not kidding when he says it's a 4.5 hour documentary. No. He's not being hyperbolic at all.
No, I watched it yesterday and I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of time. But man, is it informative. It's like watching Crystal Lake Memories or Never Sleep Again. It's like watching those documentaries. Yeah, it's like watching those things.
I was going to ask about that, how those compare, because it was funny too when he was telling his Roddy McDowell story. I'm like, I know this story. I heard it in this documentary. I was like, oh wait, it was your documentary.
Well, and that's the thing is like the only place we can get the documentary now for You're So Cool, Brewster is the new Blu-ray of Fright Night.
It's not on Shudder anymore?
It is not on Shudder anymore.
And is that version on the Blu-ray? Is that the full version or is that the cut version?
It's the full version. It's a 146-minute version.
Okay, because I might have to repick it up then, because the one I had was the import, and I think that's got the cut version on it.
Yeah, and the other Blu-ray I have of Fright Night was the limited like 5,000 unit run or whatever that happened like years ago. I forget which one that is. It's like the Eureka
Twilight
one or
Time, yeah.
Yeah, Twilight Time. Yeah, that's what it was. Twilight Time. Yeah, I've got that one. So I was like, I gotta get a new one now because the documentary. I'll do it. It's fine.
It's worth it for the documentary. I mean, I've seen both versions, but I only had the one on the Blu-ray, so I'm gonna pick that up now that you told me that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah,
before I forget.
So, we were talking earlier about bad and terrible horror films. Jesse and I tried to watch one last night. Do you remember the name of it? It was like this weird experimental one. Begotten. It is the biggest piece of shit ever because it's sold is like scary and all this crap. I'm gonna show you an image from it.
Yeah. Please do. I'm curious to see what it is.
And you go to watch it, and you're like, why? It's not scary at all. The images that I'll share are frightening in quotation marks. But it's like, it's so
I don't know. Is somebody walking underneath a ladder or something, or breaking a mirror? Was that what's frightening?
It's like a dude giving a peace sign in a bathrobe in a front yard.
Oh God, I can't look at that. I might die. What?
Yeah, it's terrible.
That is entirely unsettling. I need to go throw up now.
Yeah. So let's get caught up on some of the super chats and stuff and see what's up with the audience. So let us go back. We were at Zontar. Thank you, Zontar. He says, just say Lupin the Third, the first 75-mile drive each way and was alone in the theater. Was totally worth it. Good movies are worth the trip. Zontar, I saw a commercial for that the other day when my mom was in town for my birthday, and I thought if theaters were open out here, that'd be something we'd all go do because she used to watch that show with me. I don't know why she liked it, but she did. But I really want to see the new Lupin the Third film. I still wanted to see the live action one from like 2014 as well. So if I didn't have her in town, I would have driven 75 miles to do something fun like that. God, I need a good movie experience. I think the last theater going experience we had was the Kristen Stewart one, right? That I fell asleep in, or no, The Gentleman, right?
Oh, The Gentleman's a damn good movie.
It was really good. I was just really tired.
Oh yeah,
I had just moved out here, so I wasn't used to the time change yet. Barney the Nucleosaurus reeks. Thank you very much. He says, speaking of horror, I recommend seeing a video called The History of Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure.
Oh man, I've seen that show once one year.
Seen it. I've seen video of it. I haven't actually seen the real show. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I saw the show one. I think it was like 2012 or something. Maybe it was 2013. No, 2012 for sure. It was weird, but I really do appreciate it. They don't do that anymore, unfortunately. So.
Was the video series he's talking about like Defunctland or whatever?
No, it's I think it's a history of like during the Halloween Horror Night stuff at Universal, they would have how they'll have like little shows that happen like the Wild Wild West or whatever like kind of thing they do. They would have that, but it would be the Bill and Ted show, and it would be Bill and Ted going through time for the year and going through the pop culture stuff of the year and trying to like correct it or bring it back or whatever. And it was their like Halloween show they did, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. But yeah, I saw that show once when I went to Halloween Horror Nights, in Orlando. But yeah, it was interesting for sure. And they unfortunately I don't think they do that anymore. So,
Leticio says Ray Milland and Rosie Greer, The Thing with Two Heads. I know that movie. I do know that one because there's a I don't know if you'd really call it a film itself. It's like a top 50 list of like the worst horror movies ever, and that's on there, and it shows the trailer and talks about it briefly. Nick, we should watch that one year.
Hey, I'm down, man.
Phantom Guard says Route 3 Predator fanfiction's neighbor read them, said they were scarier than when he fought in Saigon working on a customized Ahsoka Predator. Anytime someone says Saigon to me, I think of Die Hard. Remember that, Tom? Just like Saigon, eh, Slick?
I was in junior high, asshole.
Yep, yeah. That's what it was.
It was junior high. That, or I think of Dirty Work and goes, "That's the Saigon whore that bit my nose off."
Oh God, I haven't remembered that movie in a while now.
A dead hooker in the car. Oh my God, there's a dead hooker in this trunk too. I've never seen so many dead hookers in all my life.
What the hell happened to Norm Macdonald's film career?
Dirty Work.
Really?
Well, that or actually was that Screwed or whatever movie that really.
Oh man, yeah, because that was right after Dirty Work, wasn't it?
Well, not only that, it was like a movie that was sitting on a shelf, and I think it cost like a buttload to make for some god awful reason I can't remember, and it came out and it just killed everybody's career involved with it pretty much, except for I think Danny DeVito I think was in that too.
Wait, wasn't Dave Chappelle on that one?
Yeah, he was.
And that was like one of the last movies he's made.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Then he went to his TV show. Now he only does stand up exclusively. So
yeah, I don't think he's made a movie since. I could be wrong, but
no, Half Baked.
I think he made that before that though.
Wait, Dirty Work?
Yeah.
Or wait, I don't remember what year these are. I did. Chris Farley died.
No, he's not in Dirty Work. He's in Screwed. And you're right. And no, yeah, Screwed was after Half Baked.
Oh,
yeah.
Then apparently I'm not up on my Dave Chappelle timeline, folks. I apologize.
He may have filmed it before then. I can't remember because I can't remember how many years it was sat on a shelf for. So.
Shogun Orta says, "How about that 30-second group torture scene from Event Horizon for best gross scene?"
Oh my God! At the end of that, wow. Oh man, I do love me some Event Horizon though. I really do. I think Shot Factory has just released the Blu-ray of it. I know they did a pre-order for a little bit.
So
yeah, I think they did pre-order recently, and I think it's already out. But that's a movie I love. Once again, my mom took me to that movie for some reason. Don't know why.
Nor do I, but that sounds fun.
yeah. My mom let me watch a lot of stuff that I really shouldn't have, and I turned out somewhat normal, I think. And it's so good. It's like I guess Ridley Scott meets H.P. Lovecraft in a weird way. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a very dark space movie where like they're supposed to open a black hole between 2 points in space and go through it really quickly, but instead they open up like, it would be Ridley Scott meets Clive Barker. That's what it would be, because they open up a portal to hell. That's what it is. Yeah.
What's that game? Dead Space. That's like Event Horizon. So I wanted to ask Andrew, because he talked about horror gaming in the documentary, if he had played Resident Evil 4. Have you guys played Resident Evil 4?
No,
not yet.
Nick, in my opinion, it's the best horror game ever. It's the main character, Leon Kennedy. He has to go to this weird European island because the president's daughter's been kidnapped. And
sounds familiar.
Is he? Wait, is it really Snake Plissken? What's going on?
It's got a lot of action like that film would, but it's a lot like, imagine if Snake Plissken, instead of being dropped off in New York, was dropped off in the Village from the M. Night Shyamalan flick.
Oh, okay.
It's like a weird, backwards, rural European town, and it's kind of scary. It's very fun though. Perfect for this week. So it's on PS4, Nick. You can download it for just a few bucks.
I'm definitely gonna buy that. I'm definitely waiting for Supermassive's new chapter to their anthology coming out called Hope. That's about I think the Salem witch trials or something that went on. So that's what it's about. So I'm willing. That drops the 30th. That drops Friday. So I'm waiting for that to come out.
Let's see. Barney, this nuclear source reek says, would a RoboCop versus Terminator movie work better live action or animated? If so, why'd it work?
I think if you did it animated, you'd hedge your bets better. Because if you do it live action, there's like an expectation of probably having like Arnold Schwarzenegger in there and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you do it all animated, you got a better chance of getting Peter Weller too.
Oh yeah, for the voice.
Likely do the voice then, yeah.
That guy can play RoboCop. Just drove by, so cool.
You're so cool, Brewster.
This is such a weird show to come back to. It's like, hey, enjoy your break from YouTube. Yes, start with every motherfucker driving down the street during your show. Dude, half of the time I had to be muted during when Andrew was here because there were people there were buses and races and all this other shit going outside.
Oh, but we could have kept talking to him forever, man. Like, I love him.
No,
like,
same here.
He wasn't joking. Like, motherfucker comes to play. Like, he's like, you want a top 10 list? I got like 10, motherfucker. He's like, like, dude knows his shit. Like,
yeah, it was ridiculous. I was like, damn, you really don't play, man. That's and I'm sure he's absorbed all the information from all the interviews he's ever done now, and he just like knows everything. Like it's ridiculous.
Well, and that's a great thing about and I know we sound like we're sucking these documentaries dicks and trying to sell them, but no, like, dudes, you got to understand, like, these guys put so much love into these, and not only that, there's so many movies you may have missed.
Yeah, I mean, I actually after watching the first one, I made a list on my phone of movies I need to go back and watch because I missed them, and I'm going to hopefully check them out in the next little bit and try to catch up and be better at horror.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that's what I kind of done too, is started to pick up ones that were I haven't seen them, but I seen them talk about it in the documentaries. Like, I want to check that one out,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, this is a perfect kind of thing for anybody who's a horror fan. I mean, again, I'm not like. I get nothing out of it. We are a partner in the thing through the watch parties and stuff like that. So like that's about it. Like as far as I know, like there's nothing else to it. We're not even in the documentaries or nothing yet. But I've been part of the watch parties and stuff like that. But if you guys show enough interest and stuff through the stuff we're doing here, you never know what could happen in the future. So. Because there's already a bunch of YouTubers involved with this. They've got the Angry Video Game Nerd. They've got what's his name, Oliver Harper, and a few other ones that are involved with this stuff. So I mean, you never know, it could grow. So if it gets bigger and bigger,
yeah. To answer your question, Barney, I would like to see it live action. Make it look like what was that movie, District 9.
That's that's why I think Blomkamp would have been best for RoboCop, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would have been great. But the studio wanted it done their way, and that's the problem.
I just think RoboCop is passé. I know people like to look back on it, and that's fine. You should look back on it. It's great. They can make RoboCop figures forever and keep putting out T-shirts and cool stuff. But they did it once. Was it 2014? They remade RoboCop. It wasn't good. I don't really know what RoboCop adds to the landscape anymore, sadly. Like Terminator, we're watching Terminator get released every couple of years. That movie hasn't really had a purpose since the 90s, but they keep pumping out more Terminator films and they keep sucking. And, at least RoboCop, while it did have a bad third film in that TV show, it just kind of ended with that really, really terrible remake. There's not, the next RoboCop and the next one. For as much as I respect that, I just don't know if, it's like Back to the Future, there's really nothing left to do with that series. Just
maybe not, because here's the thing that's different is like, there's a lot of stuff in the original films that was, way out there, but we're living in a lot of that shit right now. Like, I mean, if you really look at the first RoboCop and even the second one, they're very kind of poignant films right now. Even parts of the third film. I mean, because the second and third film are actually one story, but they were totally butchered by the studio. Frank Miller actually wrote the original story for those, and if you've not seen his comic book versions, which are 10 times better, I mean, oh God, if I cannot recommend them enough if you're a RoboCop fan. But no, I mean, if you could get somebody like Blomkamp who can capture the same kind of feel, the same kind of humor and reverence and referential humor and stuff like that the first film did, and what it was all about, because it was really just a comic book movie on fucking steroids with lots of blood. making fun of everything in the excessive 80s and telling you, like, look, if we keep heading down this road, this is where we're going to go. Privatize prisons, privatize police force. You know, places like Detroit are going to fucking fall apart and crumble. Look what's happening in Michigan right now. I mean, it's like, look at what's happening in this fucking world right now. I mean, that first movie especially is very on point right now. So, I mean, if you can recapture that, I think you'd have lightning in a bottle again. But I think you're kind of right at a point where it's like RoboCop's maybe 1 or 2 movies, kind of like Terminator. Once you get past that, it's what do you do? You're not going to make everybody happy, so you might as well give up.
Yeah. Dr. Coffindale says Bruce Campbell's Mysterio. For all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest are these. It might have been.
I think we need more Bruce Campbell right now. Like, we really do.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Yeah, because I love that man, and if you've watched his Twitter ever since the pandemic has been going on, it looks like he's been going crazy and using weird filters, but it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. That man doesn't know how to use it. It makes it seem like he doesn't know how to use that stuff, but he knows how to use all of it really well and make himself look really funny. And it's the best thing I've ever watched during all this go down. But we definitely need we need some Bruce Campbell real bad.
Yeah, well, we could have had more Ash vs. Evil Dead, but the fans didn't want to pay for it.
Don't get me started on that. Don't, because I'm gonna yell and I'm going to scream and it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good.
We'll just save it for this Thursday show. How's that?
Okay, that works.
Mr. Wolverine 007, thank you very much. He says, we did read that one about the trauma stuff. Swinging Cod says, sorry I'm late. EVS had Cecil, though. Outbid you guys. They have Cecil. We have a Hulk. No, we don't. We have a Hulk. Nick, you're our new Hulk.
Hulk smash.
I know I'm not as sexy as Cecil. I apologize.
Nobody is sexy as Cecil. Cecil is life. Cecil is love.
Diego Flores says Event Horizon is a very 40K flick. What you see is the warp of what you see in the warp is most of the fricked up stuff in the realm of Slaanesh and the warp. I've actually heard about that from I think Dion brought that up.
Yeah. Dion brought it up. Yeah.
I had heard about that before, Diego. That movie we'll never get the full uncut version. Like, it's on some kind of VHS, but either the film, the negatives or something were stored in some kind of salt mine and lost or destroyed. So we'll never get like a full.
Which movie?
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon.
Oh yeah.
You'll never get the full uncut HD edit. You just got to get VHS quality, which is so sad. But
I mean, that's one of the things that he talks about in the documentary is there were things on VHS that were great that will never get transferred to DVD or Blu-ray or anything beyond that. I love that kind of like the hidden message in that documentary is like film preservation. Like, regardless of what it is, we need all of it preserved.
Oh, totally. I mean, and that's something I think the Phantom Menace should get behind wholeheartedly. Because they're not making more of them, folks. And a lot of this stuff has been mishandled, lost. I mean, you'd be surprised how much shit's lost. And even for movies in the last 20, 30, 40 years even, it's just crazy. Because they used to just throw all that shit out. They didn't care.
They found those reels of unused Halloween footage not too long ago.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, I'm in some VHS groups on Facebook, and like some of the things I've seen there, it's like I have never heard of these movies before, and it's ridiculous the things that people have in their collections that they're selling for between $30 and $300, just because it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paramount threw out a lot of the outtakes from the Friday the 13th films, for instance.
Oh man, such a mistake. Mistake.
So, is there anything else you guys want to cover, or we'll just kind of close this one out?
Was there any more super chats left, Jeff, or are you caught up?
We're all caught up.
I think out of the major freaking stupidness going on, no, not really. I mean, Spider-Man 3's filming. Yay. Okay.
That Marvel TNA thing's happening, or they want it to happen still with the.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean?
I call it TNA Force. I guess they're trying to do all women Avengers.
I got real excited because you said TNA and I was like T and A or TNA.
Right.
I was like, what do you mean?
Well, here's my theory that if they're going to have an all women like Avengers, then we can ogle them and catcall and Will Frizzle and tell them to take it off, and we can objectify them. Then
you make that video where you do that, and we'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Nobody will say anything to you if you do that. Nothing.
Otherwise, Hocus Pocus 2 has the go ahead.
Oh God, I heard about that. Have you? Okay, are they going by the book, or are they just doing a script?
I have no clue. I just know the cast is signed on, I guess.
Because I made the mistake of reading the sequel book recently, and oh my God,
it depends on if the sequel book was an actual. Is it like a book series or something like an?
No, it's basically the sequel book is like the first third of the book is the first movie with like 2 things added onto it so they can make the sequel, and the last 2/3 of the book is the actual sequel.
Considering that it's been X amount of years since the first movie came out, unless the sequel story in that book takes place, that I doubt it, because you got to remember all these ladies are much older than they were in the original film.
True, and what I read from the sequel, it's woke. It really is.
Well, and Kathy Najimy, I think, lost a shit ton of weight.
Oh yeah. Years ago.
You know, Horseface, I think her face got longer. And then, I mean, Bette Midler looks about the same. I mean, but, you know, she's Bette Midler, so I'm sure she's going to change the least.
I didn't realize that this movie was actually happening.
Yeah,
it was just announced day before yesterday or something like that. Yeah. I know why, probably, because they released it on 4K Blu-ray and it's been out in theaters the last couple weeks. I guarantee you it's sold like hotcakes, even though it's on Disney Plus. So that's why this fucker got greenlit. They've been talking about it for years.
Well, it's kind of like the Christmas Story of Halloween movies, I think. It's one of these little underrated sort of cult classics that a lot of people really, really liked. And I remember seeing it, and I didn't dislike it, and I'm not even a Disney sort of fan, but it was live action. But it just has such this cult fan base lately.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has a cult fan base. So I think that between those few things, the lightning struck, and they're like, okay, we're going to do this.
Well, yeah, and I think that there was a Variety article that came up that said that it made more money than Tenet in theaters during this time because people wanted to go see that instead of Tenet.
It's very fucking possible, and there's the reason why. You know, like I said, it's definitely a movie. I've never actually watched it, but I know it has a fan base. So, yeah.
Other than that, I don't think it's worth. For me personally, I don't think it was like worth. You know, this blind dedication. It's one of those. Yeah, it was okay, but.
I mean, it's very much acceptable. It's a typical Disney movie where it's a family movie, but it's very much acceptable because of everything that's in there. It's like it's all on the screen. There's no like hidden thing here and there. Like everything they say like happens, and it's just like all there. And it's all done in such a fun way that you kind of have to love it.
Disney was kind of doing pretty good there with like their live. Like, you know, that was the era of like the Mighty Ducks and Cool Runnings, and they had that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They had some pretty good hits in there that were, you know, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I think kind of started it off, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like something like that. I think I really do love that film a lot, and I really wish they would not make a sequel because you're going to people are going to have horribly high expectations for it, and they're not going to get anything they want out of it.
You're probably
That's not going to happen. Yeah, because I mean, even now with people watching the theaters and watching it on Disney Plus wherever they can, and buying it and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to meet their expectations for what they want for it. Even if the trailer is awesome for it, whenever they bring it out, it's still not going to meet that expectation they want.
Yeah, you have that problem for sure. The only other news thing I remember was Oscar Isaac's playing Moon Knight,
which is so weird. Like all Marvel news right now feels kind of, is anemic the right word? I don't know. We did get a couple more super chats rolling though.
Yeah.
First off, Swinging Cod says a 20-year-old DVD copy of PCU is $60. Needs a new release.
Oh my god!
Evidently, I think I have that. Yeah.
I have that too. That's a great movie that predicted the next like 40 years or 30 years of stuff. Like it's
Idiocracy is another one that's never made it past DVD as well, and it's worth a lot right now.
And it's happening right now too.
It is. Idiocracy and PCU are both happening right now.
Shut up! I'm baiting.
All right,
I object because this guy broke my house.
If the DVD's worth a couple bucks, I got my copy, so I would never get rid of that movie. I love it.
Oh hell no.
Headcase Laboratory says, how do you make the best Doom movie?
Doom.
Let's see. You got to make it bloody and violent, and you got to have a kick-ass heavy metal soundtrack.
Oh, yes.
I think
basically
a Doom movie
Aliens, isn't it? Kind of, sort of.
Aliens. Also, if I was going to make a Doom movie, it would be like a music video where it's just kind of a bunch of action and shit, and you watch it. It's got a story, but
chicks in bikinis.
Chicks in bikinis. Duke Nukem.
Mecca Random, you're fucking awesome. I love you. You're great. Holy shit.
Well, there's a reason why we keep letting her hang around.
Damn. She womanizes and it's okay.
Well, it's because, she looks at a chick and she's like, hell yeah, just like we are. You know? Nothing wrong with some tits and ass. Both of them.
No, but like I think the one game that came out for Xbox, that one was really good. If you made that into a movie, but once again, I'm with Jeff. You got a music video that should up with some heavy metal and just really go balls to the wall. None of this like 34th chromosome bullshit and on Mars with The Rock and making this first person shooter crap. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, I look at Mortal Kombat. It knew what it was, and look what it left. I mean, it's a very self-aware, schlocky, middle-of-the-road movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it's great, because it's not trying to be a piece of art. It's just trying to be a very confused adaptation of a then new video game franchise.
Oh yeah, and that's why it's great. I agree. It knew what it was, and it leaned into it, and that's good.
Yeah, it's just Enter the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Swinging Cod says, and why aren't I a wrench? Pud Pumpers, #1 troll, remember? You know what, Swinging Cod, you've been around long enough.
It's because of Mother, that's why.
There you go. You know what, you've been around long enough. There you go.
Fuck you, Mother.
So, Tom, yesterday we did. Yeah, that was yesterday. We recorded a commentary for the Rob Zombie Halloween, and Swinging Cod came up because we hadn't watched a shittier film since Mother. And thank you, Swinging Cod. You will always be a part of our lives. We will always remember the film that made me pass out because it was that terrible.
Yeah, the film was a quaalude for Jeff. Basically, that's what it was.
Yeah, I didn't even know they made those things anymore.
Halloween or Mother?
Mother. Dude, I saw Rob Zombie Halloween in theaters. I knew what I was getting into.
I think we're gonna try to record something else tomorrow.
I'm Rob Zombie. I'm making Halloween. Are you gonna use the theme? Hell yeah! I'm just gonna add a bunch of noise to it. That's all it is. It's the Halloween thing, and then it's just underneath. It's
no. It was I remember when we watched it yesterday. Like he copy and pasted the music on there. It didn't seem like he added weight. I mean, there was some
end when it comes up, like you get that grinding noise underneath.
That's
the
true.
Music.
Yeah, that's that. I guess that was him like banging his wife or whatever.
Something.
That's a sound she makes.
The only good parts about that movie is the shit between Malcolm McDowell and that kid. Other than that movie is utter garbage.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the remake too.
And that was probably just because Malcolm McDowell did not watch the original because he did not want to copy Donald Pleasence.
Well, he did. No one would ever make that mistake.
Yeah, he didn't even shoot Michael 6 times,
Yeah.
Well, no, but I actually kind of liked that it was different. Like I'm one of those, if you're going to do a remake, do something fucking different. That's why The Fly is so good. That's why The Thing is so good. That's why like Nightmare on Elm Street was halfway there and then they fucked it up because you get sort of into the movie and they keep playing with this idea for an hour that, oh wait, maybe Freddy was innocent this time and he got set up. And that's why he's, in the right this time. It's a different take on Freddy. That's different. Oh no, we're just going to make sure he's just like the old one. It was just a waste of an hour.
And for me, the remake is a little bit more cringy because he's basically like a kitty toucher as opposed to a kitty killer, which is...
Well, he was both in the original too. And
yeah.
that's the thing is like, yeah, and then that's the other problem is, okay, so what the fuck does he have his claws for then if he doesn't kill kids? To leave evidence?
Yeah, it was strange. Plus, he looked like a deep fried Abe Sapien.
Salamander, yeah, or Abe Sapien, yeah. No, and that's what sucks too is you got because I'm sitting here. No, you cannot make Nightmare on Elm Street without Robert Englund, and they're like, yeah, but we got the guy playing Rorschach. All right, fine, but I may not like it yet. Because and you know why I thought, because I love that dude. I'm trying to think of his name, Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah,
I mean, motherfucker was Kyle Leak or whatever his name was in the Bad News Bears, and he's fucking Rorschach, for God's sakes. Just that scene alone where he's like, you're not, I'm not in here with you, you're in here with me. That's fucking Freddy. It's like, yeah, come on.
No, he's incredibly talented, and I mean he did what he could with that movie, but that movie just, I think, was not meant to be. Wasn't meant to be good, and it just fell apart too much. And I don't blame him for it at all. I mean, he did what he could, but it is what it was, man. That's it was a remake, and it just didn't do anything.
Yeah. We also have Head Case Laboratory says Rambo and Mortal Kombat. Hell yeah!
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
I think it's a great addition because you have Rambo, Terminator, all kinds of Alien, Jason, Leatherface, isn't he? Aren't they all in the same crossover Mortal Kombat? Isn't it 10 or 11 in XL or something like that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's a couple of different ones. Yeah.
There's even a horror crossover with the current Call of Duty as well that's happening. It's for Halloween, anyways. It's kind of weird.
Well, I'm glad there's a lot of horror love.
Yeah.
No,
I'm happy too.
I did see that somebody in the chat was talking about a new Dark Shadows. And Nick, remember the other week when we were looking at the videotapes and how Star Trek The Next Generation had a crazy amount of a home video release?
Yes.
Dark Shadows was all released.
Yeah. Mecca knows what's up.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. What was the price, Jeff? Do you remember the price that was on that?
I'm glad you asked that, because the Star Trek videos, it was $100 plus free shipping for 100 videotapes. Would you like to guess what this is going for?
I don't know, $300.
Mecca.
Well, considering that you can get the DVD set with everything for $400, I don't know. Maybe
what is that?
Maybe $200 or $300. I mean, is it even complete though? Does it have all the movies? Does it have all of the early stuff? All of the
Yeah, it looks like it's missing spots.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it has nearly enough for all of Dark Shadows, because remember that was a soap opera.
Well, this person is only Oh, Tom, would you like to guess? Sorry.
Way too much, evidently, or you wouldn't be asking.
You'd be surprised.
$10.
You're the closest. $7.
No.
$7. What are they going to charge you? $80 shipping?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, because it probably weighs 50 pounds.
God, all the plastic wasted on videotapes.
Well, that was the only way to get it, and that was, I think, the first TV, the first soap opera to be released in its entirety. And remember, this was a daily soap opera that was on for a half an hour every single day. So
we need to apparently watch Howard the Duck for our next drinking stream.
Nope. No, we don't.
But Nick, this Saturday we're gonna have a drinking stream. We're gonna have our Halloween party.
Dude, I got my beer ready. I'm just gonna try to pick up a piece of shit costume here soon and just wear it on air. It might be it might be Ghostbuster overalls. It might be a tutu. Who knows?
Hey, that's part of the allure. It's
Yes.
it's a loot box. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
But yeah, folks, we're gonna have a lot of fun on Saturday night. We'll probably pass out on air, so don't tell our families. But we're open to suggestions and guests and ideas. So just let us know what you'd like to see us do this Saturday night.
I'll be here if you want.
I'd love that.
Yeah. Tom,
be open to you too. So if you're not doing anything,
I was
on
thinking
Halloween,
about going to see Ghostbusters and Halloween in the drive-in, but I already got them in 4K, and there could be a chance they mean Ghostbusters 2016 and Halloween 2018. So I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, man, you could. Yeah, you guys can come on here. We can nerd out on some horror while we're drinking. So
I'm like all excited. I'm like, awesome! I want to go see Ghostbusters and Halloween. Wait, what if they're the remake and the new one?
Well, Saturday on our channel is a sure thing that we're gonna have good conversation, good drinks going on, and having a good time. So come on down.
Yeah, spread the word, dude. If I was prepared, I'd have the clip. Well, fuck you, outside car, as opposed to inside car. No, I would have that clip from Beetlejuice. Remember when he's like, "Come on down, we got snakes and whatever for the kids to play with."
Well, Jeff, you have a few days to get some gifts going.
Snakes for the kids to play with.
Yeah, I will get Oh, and don't forget Saturday night you get an extra hour because daylight saving time.
Oh, that's right.
And it's also full moon too. So I mean,
you said something about dressing up.
Was this when the meteor's supposed to hit too? So
yeah, well, no, that's the night of the 2nd, the morning of the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Oh, lame.
But it's only the size of like two school buses, I think. So it's not going to really.
So it'll just take out Detroit.
Yeah. Wait, is it a school bus or a football field? I forget the measurements. I'm not really good with math. It's fine.
You know, it's arbitrary. They're so close in size anyway, Nick. Who would fault you for making that mistake?
That's true, man. That's true. I mean, and oh look, it's light in the sky. What does it mean?
It's just a little rock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm not an astrophysicist. I don't know these things. Okay, don't blame me.
Just put quantum in front of everything. You'll sound smart. That's what Star Trek does now.
Really?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do watch Meg Random's videos about that, and it's just sadder and sadder all the time. I'm just like,
we're doing quantum math.
But
can't melt ice. Even these people.
Oh.
It's quantum ice.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Everything is science.
Star Trek just hurts. Star Trek just kills everything.
Apparently tardigrades are giant. Like, what the hell was that?
Oh, don't even get me started.
Okay. Sorry.
No. It's just a wormhole and a half, man. You have no fucking clue.
I won't do that.
You should check out right now. We just dropped it earlier this afternoon. We had Mr. H watch the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 without seeing the first 2 seasons because this is supposed to be some new launch point. And the faces and reactions he has to us explaining to him how we got to this point are fucking priceless.
Yeah, I was explaining it to somebody who hadn't watched it, who's like a huge Star Trek fan from way back, and they're like, "Oh my god, you sound like you're losing the will to live just describing this thing."
Oh man, I'm gonna check that out. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, anyway, I know we gotta shut her down here, so I can't wait. I'll see if I can get a costume though. I'm supposed to be moving, so if I have to, maybe I'll go to Walmart. Yeah, I've got a better place now. Finally,
awesome.
Yeah. Yes, my dog will enjoy it.
Oh. So let's close this out because there really isn't much to talk about this week. We'll save our Kanye West Star Wars stuff for Thursday night, Nick.
And Jesse can actually start on time for once.
Yeah, she can. We had another super chat roll in. Thank you very much to Swinging Cod. Wait, hold on. We had another one from Head Case Laboratory who says, the swinging in my black asshole.
You got another one that just come in too.
Oh my god.
Marty the Nucleosaurus Reek says, I just found out there's a movie on Amazon Prime called Santa Jaws.
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
I thought the shark movies were dead. What happened?
Oh, they are. That's why they have zombie sharks now.
Oh, they also have,
we wanted to watch.
They also have volcano shark and ghost shark. So, nah. I think they have Shark Exorcist as well.
That's the one.
I was just gonna say that. Yes.
I think I know people who are in that. Pretty sure I do. I'm not even kidding. I think I really know people who are in that.
I believe you.
There's Santa Jaws right there.
Jeez.
What the flying fuck?
Ho ho ho.
That's 2020 right there. That's what that is.
Rosetta Allen says, "Good night, sweeties," from your girl Jeff. Thank you, Rosetta. Thank you for the birthday call this past week. I appreciate that.
Her name is Jeff now?
No.
She forgot to use a comma. I'm just picking on her right now.
Appropriating your name.
Your name's Jeff too?
Oh yeah.
That's bloody amazing.
So Mecca, where can we find you on the internet?
I have a channel. It is being suppressed because we're on that list. We're on the naughty list. So check out Mecca Random 42. I have Twitch if something happens to the channel. Patreon. What else? I can't remember. Everything.
So what's this list? I saw the list, but like, who made it?
Some douche from Australia. Some wiener.
So
I can send you just about everything you need to know.
Oh God!
Some jerk who doesn't understand that I'm like, I don't want to be on your list. I don't care even if you think it's right or
Oh, he knows it's not right.
No. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to be listed and categorized and set out to,
and put in a box by some man in Australia.
Yeah.
And by the way, happy birthday, Jeff.
Well, thank you very much.
Hey, happy birthday.
It was great. Thank you, Canadian Spider-Man, and everybody who asked. Yeah, it was just cool to spend time with my mom, hang out. My mom and Jesse get along great, so it was just a fun day of the three of us going down and trying to do some stuff at the beach, and everything else is closed in California, so it was a really weird year. But and thanks to all the people that did post on the wall and all that. I appreciate it, and it's nice to be back. Nick, where can we find you on the internet outside of this channel?
Well, I do this one wonderful podcast every Thursday night where we take a dump of pop culture called World Class Bullshitters. I think
never heard of them.
It's just look up WCBS or World Class Bullshitters on YouTube. You should find us.
Bullshitters.
Not an official CBS affiliate.
Yeah, I don't know. We're kind of small, and I mean, good luck trying to find us. I think Jeff's got some links we can give you.
You guys are on that list, by the way.
I do love that we're on that list, and the way it describes us is hilarious. Oh my god, it's so funny.
No. I'm talking about unless we're talking about the same thing right now. I'm talking about the transparency tube thing.
No, that's what I'm talking about too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think we've been sharing pictures in our little group chat, and it's been hilarious. So
you're alt-right.
Right. Of course we are. Of course we are.
You racist bastards.
Yeah, well, we're also all four white dudes. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, clearly. The alt-right podcast with one white dude on the show.
Hey, Jeff, where can people find you, man?
They can find me on that arbitrary list, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. You're a red bubble now.
Thanks. I love how uninformed people truly are when they try to put us in a category or a box.
Best part is when I said it's broken because Jesse is definitely not.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, God damn.
Guilt by association, I guess.
I mean, I just don't know what is this person just looking for attention or something? Or
here's my gathering of it. It's something he put together to sell to basically like news organizations and stuff like that, so that way they know where people like us stand. So when they write all these lovely articles about us, like the one where they called you racist.
Which one?
Which one? One of the many.
The CBR one or the Esquire?
The one that all these people on it besides Gary, I think we're black anyway. But anyhow, point is he's just this he made this aggregator site that's nothing but bullshit, and it takes random information and tries to aggregate where certain channels stand on the anti-SJW, left or right, and there is a center, I guess, but hardly anybody's in it. And yeah, it's like there's a lot of channels that don't consider themselves political whatsoever, like Midnight's Edge, and I believe you guys too over here at World Class. I don't ever remember you guys really covering any political shit. And yeah, there's no reason we should even be in those standings, and it's just because we're considered anti-SJW, so that automatically puts us in a category. And yeah, it can be used as a hit list as well. That's the other side of it. There's many, many nefarious uses for this kind of a list, basically.
Well, I'm glad we're that relevant, Nick.
Yeah, we're on a hit list. That makes me kind of happy, We're worthy of taking out.
Yeah, I've just seen people talk about Young Ripa on the list too. Like,
Young Ripa.
Dude, oh my god.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. And then the guy did a 2-hour podcast last night on some guy's stream with. Kitty getting in trouble?
I suppose so. I don't know what
shit pancake. Never mind. I can only imagine what spearmints he's running.
Bottle of ketchup on the ground.
Oh, he's running the ketchup bottle of spearmint. Good. I paid him for that one.
It has the exciting side effect of exploding all over the floor and refrigerator.
But Mom, it's all over the floor. I can't do the voice.
I can't either. I don't even try. It hurts just thinking, trying to get my voice that high and all
I
that
can't
stuff.
do it. No. I'm a voice guy, but I don't think if I tried hard enough, maybe.
Just stick with your George Lucas. It's hilarious.
What?
I
can get shit pancake to work. He's the key to all this.
I wanted to tell you the ketchup made a real big splat. It went splattered, and it's kind of like when I shake my head after I scratch my stinky ear, and it's full of stink, and it splatters everywhere too.
What if we replace the voice with a Rastafarian?
What's Rastafarian?
Only if the Rastafarian is Jack Black.
I know what you did last summer too.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for.
The kids like him, right?
Yeah, he's real popular.
Yeah.
Ed Hogue, I agree. I can't wait for this cycle to be over as well. Come back in 3 weeks where everything is back to normal.
If that's the case, I'll be real pissed off.
Dude, this is the ending to Game of Thrones. That's where we are right now.
No. This is just level 1. Level 2 starts in at the end of the year, at the beginning of next year. That's when level 2 starts.
If everything I keep hearing is true, everything is going to get shut down for another fucking year.
God.
So, that is the High Council, folks. Thank you for watching. We're officially back. I had a video out yesterday. It's doing very well. It is on The Mandalorian. Oh yeah, The Mandalorian drops this Friday.
Yes, it does.
I'm so excited to talk about it.
I can tell. You just can't hide it.
And I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it, Nick. You know what? It's funny. Everyone should start making lists
and checking them twice.
Yeah. All these guys doing is giving us a list to send to Santa Claus. Thank you, sir. It's great to be correct. I mean, you chose the word right. I'll use the word correct, but it is great to be correct on your list. Maybe
that's
a character
right. Accurate.
Yeah, that's right. That is accurate. So, thank you, Mr. Listman. I'm going to lose so much sleep over it tonight.
I can tell by the tone in your voice.
I'm so worried. Oh
you're so distraught.
I can't go on anymore. All the humanity.
Calm down, Jeffrey. Get off the rails.
Wait. You just called him Jeffrey. That's funny.
Which kind of rails? Anyway, Death Star table stuff too. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Come back on Thursday for the podcast, a new video, and on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a Halloween party. We're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be a night to remember.
Yeah, there's gonna be rails.
Yeah, there's gonna be rails.
That's what I heard my first night in prison.
You're just supposed to bite the rail so it doesn't hurt as much.
It was a big old lie. It was a night to remember, all right. Oh. By the way, you can find me on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I just thought everyone could, you just yell out the window, Tom! And he's like, yeah, what? And he's on your stream too, folks. All you have to do is, if you believe...
I'm pretty much, yeah.
Tom will be on your stream.
So you're saying I'm Diedrich Bader in Office Space?
Yeah.
Hey man, put it on channel 2.
Oh shit, it looks like Ann.
You want to come over? Oh hell no, man! I want you fucking up my life too, man.
You know what I do with $1 million, Tom? 2 chicks at the same time.
2 chicks at the same time.
Oh my god!
See, that guy's got it all figured out.
Yeah. Barney the Nuclear Saurus Reeks. Thank you very much. He says Santa Jaws is a 2018 movie, not a 2020 movie.
It feels like 2020, so it's going to be a 2020 movie.
It looks like a shark with laser beams for eyeballs. So now I'm curious.
And a Santa hat over
Santa
his
hat, yeah, for a fin. Yeah.
How did it stay on?
I don't get the connection either. How's it snowing in the water?
Why does this exist? Is the only question you can ask.
Should I watch
closer?
Should I watch it and report back on Thursday and see what happens? Like, should I?
I think I might too.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it.
No. Watch it. Report back on Saturday for the Halloween party.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I'll do that then. That's fair enough.
Oh my God. I might have to check this out too now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you check it out too, man, come back on Saturday. We'll both discuss it and see and tell everybody how horrible or good it is.
We'll see how far I make it into it.
That's true.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. All right, it's stapled on. There you go, Dr. Coffin-Nails, just like Indiana Jones's hat was. So
Did you try staples?
Yeah.
Or those what is it? Or those mouse's ears in Scrooged.
That's what I was talking about. He's like, I tried everything. We tried crazy glue. Can't get him to stay on. Well, did you try staples? The one lady's like, oh my God.
That's what we can use this year. A good old Bob Goulet Cajun Family Christmas.
You can hardly see the nipples. Yeah, you can hardly see them. And these guys are really looking.
What a great movie.
Oh, God.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for watching. We'll be back next time with more. And always be excellent to each other.
And
party on, dudes.